shut out last week by the Dolphins.
For the first time since Game 4 of the 1980 football season, that New York Sack Exchange did not get to a quarterback. Now, bad news for New York fans. Today, Marty Lyons is not going to start. Still problem with that broken thumb. Has a big mid on it, so he's one of the guys that they need to keep the offensive line honest. The majority of the sacks seem to come from the outside guys, Gastineau and Klecko. Klecko with the power, Gastineau running to the outside. And this New York Jet football team defensively has come to know that as the biggest part of their defense, that is getting to the quarterback. So all week long in the papers, they have said they're going to vent their frustrations against the New England Patriots. And last year in 2 games, they got 16 sacks.
8 in each game, both Jet victories at Shea and up here in Foxborough last year, and against a pretty good offensive line.
Yeah, the pressure points for the New England Patriots today on the offensive line are Shelby Jordan and Brian Holloway. They got to face those big defensive ends. They come into this game apparently from, as opposed to last year, a lot stronger, both of them. And Shelby Jordan kind of got eaten up last year against Klecko. This is a promised game for him, a little vengeance for Shelby Jordan.
What about the quarterbacks, Trump, Todd, and Kavanaugh?
Well, Todd came off a game that no quarterback wants. He threw 3 interceptions, 2 returned for touchdowns. A lot of quarterbacks will sit down after that for a week or 2, but Walt Michaels staying with him. For Matt Kavanaugh, encouraging that he is now the starting quarterback of the New England Patriots. Doesn't have to fight for the job. As long as he plays well, he's the quarterback. Only threw the ball, I think, 16, 17 times last week, and the New England Patriots won. Good news.
The Pats and the Jets just about ready to go. Let's go to the field.
There's Ron Meyer, new head coach of the New England Patriots. Fresh out of the college ranks, SMU, and an auspicious beginning last week against Baltimore. Yet to be determined if that's a real victory against the Baltimore Colts, but he's 1-0.
And Walt Michaels in his 6th year as the head coach of the Jets. And last year, after the 0-3 start, the Fire Michaels banners were out at Shea. He silenced them, at least temporarily, with a 10-2-1 finish and a spot in the playoffs. Last week, a loss to Miami. First time the Dolphins had beaten the Jets in 5 years. And already some of the critics are back, Trump.
Yeah, I think they're questioning the manner in which the New York Jets lost, too. They beat their defense, and the teams in the last year have not done that against the New York Jets.
Jets won the toss. Rex Robinson to kick off with Harper and Sohn deep. Bruce Harper at the 15-yard line. And one of the best return men in the NFL spins out short of the 30. The Jets will have it at about the 28-yard line. Vegas Ferguson down for the tackle. Todd with McNeil and Augustiniak as his backs. Freeman McNeil, a 116-yard rushing effort in the loss to the Dolphins. Walker, Jones, and Barkham are his targets. And the offensive line with Joe Fields now, after the injury to the ring finger of his right hand, back in at center, which should solve some problems for them. The pitch back to Freeman McNeil, and McNeil for very short yardage. Not quite to the 30-yard line.
Bob, the Jets already beginning the game with 2 tight ends and 1 wide receiver. They came into this ball game wanting to run the ball at that defensive front.
All the defensive linemen of the Patriots combined have 11 years of NFL experience, and Julius Adams has all of it. There are their linebackers, and Steve Nelson is the only returning starter from last year, and all those veteran #1 draft choices in the secondary. Tim Fox traded away to San Diego before this season for a #2 draft choice. Augustiniak gets the call, and Augustiniak is out to about the 37-yard line, which will leave him with 3rd and short. Rick Sanford, the free safety, made the tackle.
Mike Augustiniak for the New York Jets 1981 was kind of their surprise. Came out of I believe it was a car repair shop someplace in Indiana, and became the starting fullback, although to this point in the season, through the exhibition season, has not played well. If he can play well, valued blocking for Freeman McNeil.
Durking and Newton check in now. 3rd down and 2. Durking gets the call, and a rude how do you do from Lester Williams, number 72, and he stopped short of the 1st down.
This New England Patriot football team in the 1982 draft drafted 5 of the first 55 players taken. This was their 2nd defensive lineman taken in the draft, behind Kenneth Sims, a 1st-round draft choice. And he is a natural nose man, the New England Patriots tell me. That is great strength, hip strength, leg extension. And he'll be a handful for Joe Fields and the offensive guards of the Jets today. It's going to be close.
Close enough to measure.
Short.
But short. Walt Michaels will take no chances at this juncture. Chuck Ramsey to punt.
Bob, I got to make a comment about Joe Fields. Last year an all-pro center, and I'm not sure how many people can understand how difficult it is to be an all-pro center and then play 1 week at guard and make no mistakes with just 1 week's practice, then move back to center.
Ricky Smith, a rookie from Alabama State, is the deep man. Chuck Ramsey kicked 4 times last week against the Dolphins for an average of just shy of 40 yards. Drives Smith back inside the 15. Stutter step doesn't get him too far, perhaps the 22-yard line. John Woodring, number 57, got down and made the stop for the Jets. Matt Cavanaugh beat Steve Grogan out in the preseason. Collins and Weathers are his running backs. Weathers is a rookie, second-round pick. Collins, leading rusher after 1 game in the league, 137 last week. Hasselbeck back in starting with Lynn Dawson hurt at the tight end spot. Stanley Morgan and Preston Brown, the other receivers. And with the exception of free agent signee Shelby Jordan, the other 4 on the offensive line, all first-round draft picks. In fact, 17 of the 22 New England starters today are either first or second-round draft choices. Weathers gets the call and punches out for a couple of yards. Ben Rudolph is in at that right tackle spot. Marty Lyons with the fractured thumb, Trump.
And you'll see another change at middle linebacker. First-round draft choice Bob Crable starting for Mr. Buttle. Mr. Buttle with a sprained hand.
And there is their secondary, Jerry Holmes, with a big game, including an interception last week in the loss to the Dolphins. Second down and 8. They give to Tony Collins. Hole opens up for him, and he squirts out close to a first down at the 32-yard line.
Bob, this New England Patriot offense, I should say the entire team, is being built as much stronger this season. They may have the biggest offensive line in the NFL, with John Hanna, the smallest member of that offensive line, at 265 pounds. When Ron Meyer came here in January, he said, an unqualified, we will have the strongest team in the NFL. With 4 tons of weights now added to the New England Patriots locker room, they got them pushing weights all over the place.
3rd and inches upcoming. Last year, the Jets beat New England twice, but don't be misled. New England has won 8 of the last 12 meetings between these clubs and 5 of 6 here in Foxborough.
Yeah, to show you how tough it was for New England last year, in the 2 games they attempted 86 passes, and therefore you can account for some of the 16 sacks that the New York Sack Exchange had against the New England Patriots.
They line up strong right. They need about a foot. It's Mosi Tatupu in motion. They've got the first down with Mark Van Egan carrying. Mark Van Egan, the all-time leading rusher in Oakland Raider history. And not too many people would guess that he's the 6th leading active rusher in the NFL right now.
I didn't know that.
You do now.
Yeah, he's from nearby Cambridge, Massachusetts, and has always been one of the most sure-handed running backs there is in the game. And that's that first 3rd down conversion that is so essential today in the game of professional football. Good explosion by John Hanna. I'd run behind him every time.
So Van Egan specially picking up the short yardage that they need for the first down. Van Egan exits. The handoff on first down is to Tony Collins, and he finds the going tough. Doesn't get to the 40. He had 113 of his 137 last week against Baltimore in the first half. And now, with Andy Johnson and Sam Cunningham both on injured reserve, and I'm thinking in this case especially of Johnson, who's an all-purpose back, they'll look to Collins more as a receiver. And in fact, he caught a touchdown pass last week.
The other thing is, too, I think they'll probably rest Tony Collins with Vegas Ferguson a great deal, trying to keep them both fresh.
Morris Bradshaw, the former Raider, obtained on waivers during the preseason, is in now. The handoff is to Collins. Collins to about the 42-yard line. It's going to leave them with 3rd down and approximately 4. Joe Klecko made the stop.
Already a tremendous difference from the New England Patriots of 1981. They haven't thrown a pass yet. Continue to pound it out at that New York Jet defensive line. And that'll certainly cut down on the sacks.
Matt Cavanaugh is allowed to call most of his own plays, but they will occasionally messenger plays in, alternating wide receivers Preston Brown, 81, and Morris Bradshaw, 88. Third and a short 5. Cavanaugh to throw for the first time. The ball is tipped and then moving. Stanley Morgan, who was blanked last week for the first time in 38 games, didn't catch a pass against the Colts. That was an easy one, and he dropped it.
That went right through the hands of Lance Mell, number 56 of the New York Jets, too. I would expect some sort of double coverage on Stanley Morgan. You'll see the shadow of the ball. He's looking into the sun, but that ball should have been caught and probably should not have been thrown by Cavanaugh.
Now Rich Camarillo, who averaged 42.4 on 8 punts last week, including a 56-yarder against the Colts.
That'll bounce.
And bounce in New England's direction across the 25 to the 24-yard line, where the Jets will begin their second possession of the day. We played 5 minutes to the first quarter in Foxborough. A 34-yard punt by Camarillo. No return. Jet ball when we come back. New England Pats back on defense. Trump, and Kenneth Sims is a man that everybody is watching here in Foxborough. His first home game that counts, number 77, first man taken in the entire draft this year.
Bob, I just had a conversation with Dick Steinberg, one of the most respected directors of player personnel in the league. They said he is playing very, very well against the run. He must learn the technique of the pass rush, number 77, at about 6'5" and somewhere between 275 and 280. Going against one of the best offensive tackles there is in the game today, Marvin Powell, got the wrong side.
Johnny Lamb Jones in motion. Wesley Walker, the other wide receiver. There's Kenneth Sims making the tackle on Mike Augustiniak's first down carry.
Now, see, one of the things that people, I think, have overlooked about the talents of Kenneth Sims, coming out of Texas, they face primarily wishbone teams. Watch him play down the line. Just push Powell off the line of scrimmage. Good pursuit. And at 6'5", 280 pounds, that's a collision.
Second down, and they call it 6. 9 minutes and 28 seconds to play first quarter. McNeil and Augustiniak split behind Todd, who drops to throw and has time. Out of the backfield to Augustiniak. Looks like he's just shy of a first down. It'll leave them with third and short. Roland James and Larry McGrew on the tackle. NBC Sports presenting you the best of the National Football League. And today's game is brought to you by Budweiser Light, with that clean, distinctive taste worthy of the king of beers. By Pontiac. Test drive a new Pontiac at your local Pontiac dealer, because at Pontiac, we build excitement. And by Atari, the leader in home video games, for fun your whole family can share. Third down 1 with Durking joining Augustiniak. Augie gets the call. I think his initial forward progress had it, Trump, before he was pushed back.
That's going to be very close. It's always interesting to see the first couple of third down plays where a team feels its strengths are offensively. That time right up the middle behind Joe Fields, the all-pro center. And you'll see the handoff. Augustiniak just muscle against muscle. I can't really see who makes the tackle. 53 certainly gets in there.
That's Clayton Wysoon, a rookie from Angelo State. They get the first down at the 35-yard line. Clock winding down toward 8 minutes to play in the first quarter. Augustiniak, workhorse here in this first quarter. About 3 yards for him before Julius Adams, the 11-year veteran from Texas Southern, makes the tackle. The other two starters on the defensive line and all their defensive line reserves are either rookies or first-year players.
I'll tell you what, that's a good job by Kenneth Sims standing Marvin Powell up like that. You don't see many people stand Marvin Powell up right in the tracks. Against the run, they have no question that he has the ability. He has to learn how to pass rush, and that's how you play in the NFL.
I would guess that in Texas, he simply overpowered people. Now in the NFL, he's going to have to learn some finesse and technique.
Agreed.
Todd stands in that pocket and then has it go through the hands of his intended receiver, Freeman McNeil.
Close. He had plenty of time to throw it. And I noticed that the New York Jets are running very, very short patterns, maybe taking a page of the playbook from the Miami Dolphins.
Against the Dolphins last week, they showed a new wrinkle. They opened with the no-huddle offense. They called the first 3 plays in the locker room. That came out and worked well for them.
They also opened with 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, and Freeman McNeil in the backfield.
Third down and a long 6 with Ricky Smith in as the nickelback. He wears number 27.
Jets have Durking and Harper.
And 3 wide receivers for the Jets. Long count by Todd. Again, he has time, and he has a receiver, but then Wesley Walker can't hold it. Mike Haynes on the coverage.
My goodness. That was a bullseye.
Wesley Walker has been afflicted with Bell's palsy the past couple of weeks. Paralysis of the left side of his face. Now, he's legally blind in his left eye, and the problem here is only that he cannot blink. And from time to time, he'll have to drop some solution into it on the sidelines. Smith backs up to take a good punt by Ramsey and doesn't get to the 15-yard line. A 55-yard Ramsey punt, Trump.
Oh, obviously, the New York Jets are so far winning the game of field position.
7:06 remaining in quarter number 1. The Pats will have it when we come back.
Mistakenly identified Bob Crable as the inside linebacker of the New York Jets. Want to correct myself. He is the outside linebacker, replacing Mr. Buttle. Blinka controls the middle.
Crable, the number 1 pick out of Notre Dame, played very well in preseason, and in past years would have won a starting job outright, but they've improved the linebacking core to the point where he had to wait for the injury to Buttle to get his chance today. Robert Weathers carries for a loss back to the 10-yard line. That's Crable who wound up making the tackle.
I remember when Bob Crable was drafted, a great many people said, this guy isn't good enough in coverage. He'll never make it. I don't know of a linebacker coming out of college who has any experience in coverage. And if he can take on a tight end like that, Don Hasselbeck is not a bad blocker. He'll be in the starting lineup, not by injury, but because of performance.
He tossed Hasselbeck aside rather easily.
6'7", 235.
Second down and 12. 6.5 minutes to play. Scoreless first quarter so far. And the Jet defense slams Tony Collins back to the line of scrimmage. Joe Klecko hit him.
Slow getting up. I think the pile kind of twisted him. Second and 12 is generally the spot that the New York Jet defense wants to be in. Watch the strength. Just a trap. That's John Hanna on Joe Klecko. Their respective numbers, 73. And they stack it up for no gain. And I wonder if the New England Patriots are going to throw the ball at all.
Abdul Salam, actually, on the replay, looked like he was more responsible for the stop than Klecko. They give him a yard on it. Third down and 11 from just across the 10-yard line. No chances deep in their own territory. Collins on a sweep. They're going to punt. Does that strike you as a tad too conservative, Trump?
Well, yes. You go into a football game against the Jets with a great deal of respect for the New York Sack Exchange, but I don't believe at third down and 12 you're going to win a football game by doing that. Let's compliment Johnny Lynn. He was the guy who took down the support, so the tackle was easy to make.
The Jets now will have their third possession, and with each, they move closer to midfield.
Field position.
Camarillo standing just across the goal line. Harper waiting at his own 40. Good spiraling kick. Harper looking for room. A little dance across the 45. The Jets will have it at their own 46-yard line with 5:33 to play in the first quarter. Give Camarillo credit for a 50-yard punt and Harper an 8-yard return. We're coming back after this. Trump, it looked like the fans here at Foxborough agreed with you. They would have liked Ron Meyer to open it up a bit there.
Well, I think when you got a new coach, they are generally ultra-conservative. He doesn't want to turn the ball over, and I think he wants to try to beat the New York Jets at the line of scrimmage here in the first quarter to establish the fact that they are strong and will come after him.
Lamb Jones was in motion, and then he takes the pass at, check it, it's Wesley Walker who makes the catch. Walker with the catch at the 45-yard line of New England.
Obviously, the Jets don't want to put the ball just up for grabs. Last week, experiencing 3 interceptions, 2 returned for touchdowns. They'll be a little more conservative in their approach. Excellent catch by Walker. It certainly doesn't make up for the one that he dropped, though.
Good numbers in 81 for Wesley, although the average yards per reception, the lowest of his career. In his first 4 years in the league, he never averaged lower than 20 yards a catch. Last week against the Dolphins, he made them count. He caught 2. They were both for scores. Second and short, and Augustiniak pulls ahead into the arms of Clayton Weissoon, number 53.
You mentioned Wesley Walker and his ability to get down the field. You match him with Stanley Morgan, who for his career has averaged over 20 yards a catch, and you've got 2 of the greatest deep threats playing in the NFL today. and he does it with one eye. Wesley Walker is used to it because he's had the problem since birth, but for the life of me, I can't understand how he adjusts to the depth perception that is so necessary in professional football.
Claims that it's no problem at all for him. They have the first down at the 43-yard line of New England. 4.5 minutes to play, first quarter. Lamb Jones sprinting out to the right. Todd firing to the other side. On the money to Walker, who's pushed out of bounds at the 30-yard line. A 13-yard pickup.
This is a 5-step drop pattern. You'll watch Walker. This is a timing play. Little juke at the cornerback and then straight out to the sideline. The timing on the play is the most necessary part of the success of it. It's almost impossible to stop that sort of play unless you've got a roll-up zone, some sort of situation where the man's between the receiver and the quarterback.
Claiborne beaten on the play. This is the deepest penetration for either club so far in this first quarter. Freeman McNeil lowers his head and gets 3 or 4, but then fumbles the ball, and it looks like New England has it.
There's no official around there to make the ruling. That is, unless he's down there fighting for the football. They got it. Kenneth Sims once again on Marvin Powell. It's a hit in on McNeil. And somewhere in there is the pigskin. Oh, there's the official down on his knees.
Somebody wearing a red shirt came up with it. We'll tell you who it was when we come back after this. Number 53, the rookie, will recover it for New England. Rod Schode and Bill Matthews, veteran linebackers, traded. Bob Golick released. Mike Hawkins and Steve King on injured reserve as Tony Collins carries for a short gain. And so the New England linebacking corps features rookies Clayton Wysoon and Larry McGrew, second-year man Don Blackman, and just one veteran, Steve Nelson.
You can't win in the NFL if you can continue to give it to your opponent. Fumble, interception, interception, interception. And all of a sudden, the game is out of hands. You know, interesting, too, that against the Jets last week, the Miami Dolphins had 55 rushing plays.
13 Jet penalties didn't hurt the Dolphins either. Off the play fake, Kavanaugh with a deep drop. And he's on target. Stanley Morgan, after almost 5 quarters, has his first reception of the 1982 season, and it was good for 12 yards.
Well-designed play. This is a non-pattern. You see the roll-up zone. He simply goes to the outside. Then Holmes makes the wrong choice, and Morgan is just standing out there on the sideline. Kavanaugh patient enough to let the defensive man clear away from him. First down, New England.
At the 40-yard line with 3 minutes and 30 seconds to play. Robert Weathers can't get outside, and it's stopped for a loss of 1. Next Saturday, NBC Sports presents the Caesars Palace Grand Prix, the finale of the Formula One auto racing season. The 1982 driving championship is at stake 4 Eastern time, except out on the West Coast where you'll see it at 4 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on NBC Sports.
Thank you.
Robert Weathers, who was brought down on that last play, a second-round draft choice. They used the pick they got from San Diego in the Tim Fox deal to acquire him. He's kind of an interchangeable back. He's not truly big enough to be a classic fullback. They're using him in this set with Collins. This is Collins trying to get outside. Out to the 43, which will leave them with 3rd down and 7. Abdul Salam with the tackle, and Kansas City with a first quarter lead at home on the Chargers.
Ball resting at the 24. 3rd down.
Pittsburgh jumping in front of the Bengals trump.
In Three River Stadium, where they have a 31-5 record against AFC Central Division opponents in the last 10 years.
Kavanaugh's numbers from 1981. He started half of the Patriots game, splitting the duties with Steve Grogan. He's in trouble. He rolls out of it. Lost one for Weathers. Let's see if he was inbounds. He was. First down at the 35.
.21 yards on the throw and catch, and here's a point for the New England Patriots. The sack exchange did not make contact, and I believe they'll rule this a completion because it looks like Lance Mel. Oh, he got his feet down. Great job by Weathers, and that's one of the difficult things for a receiver out of college to learn. Here's Crable on Tony Collins. Hopefully they won't do that many times this particular day.
Now from the Jet 35, Mark Van Egan carries, and Van Egan with 7 yards on first down. Which brings me back to the point I made earlier. The 6th leading career active rusher in the NFL. Could you name the first 5?
Harris.
Franco Harris with over 10,000.
Campbell.
He's there, 6,500.
Dorsett.
Dorsett is there, 6,300. He's 5th.
Peyton.
Peyton with 9,600 is second behind Harris. You might not get the guy who's 3rd.
Give me a minute. Sam Cunningham.
Wrong. Second down, 3. Collins has the first down and then some. Collins inside the 20-yard line. And Schroy, the strong safety, makes the tackle. There's a flag down, Trump.
Good. I'm glad there's a flag. John Riggins.
You got it.
3rd. Thank you very much.
John Riggins is 3rd among active NFL rushers, 76.02.
I got another one for you. You realize he was going to be offensive hold'em New England Patriots. He realized that John Riggins was the last New York Jet to rush for 1,000 yards. I think it was 1976. I'm not sure of that year, but
Red Cashin will make it official here.
Holding during the run. Number 80 of the offense. Still second down.
Don Hasselbeck is the guilty party. It becomes second down and 13 with the ball pushed back to the 38.
I don't know if he held Bob Crable, but that's the man lined up over him. And the smattering of boos, I believe, for Don Hasselbeck is probably tied to the fact that he is the player representative for the New England Patriots.
With a minute 16 to play in the first. On second and 13, Kavanaugh in trouble, gets rid of it. This will leave him 3rd down and 13. Weathers was in the general vicinity.
Great job by Lance Mel, 56, outside linebacker this side. Man came in motion, Collins, and Mel appeared to go out and cover him and then came back and just pushed Weathers enough that Weathers couldn't make the reception.
Trump, you mentioned the boos for Hasselbeck, the player representative. Maybe that's the reason why. Maybe they don't like the fact that he's not quite the player that Russ Francis was. Who knows why?
I disagree with you. I think Don Hasselbeck has done a much better job for New England than Russ Francis ever did. Last year, more catches, more times played, and more yards caught in his first season as a starter for the New England Patriots.
Kavanaugh needs 13, and there's the first sack of the 1982 season for the sack exchange. Joe Klecko got there. Klecko had a tough week against the Dolphins. Was penalized 3 times for lining up off sides.
Joe Gardy, defensive coordinator of the New York Jets, said that Joe Klecko should have played last week. He didn't practice all week long. This week, he practiced all week. You saw him just shove Brian Holloway out of the way and get to the quarterback. He's the strength pass rusher. Gastineau is the finesse pass rusher.
Camarillo now just inside his own 35 with Harper waiting at the 10. 41 seconds to play first quarter. Flag flies before Camarillo boots it. Harper doesn't get to the 20. Let's see what the flag will be.
I think they're going to call illegal procedure against the New England Patriots. It appeared that the outside man was moving because the Jet outside man was way outside of him, rushing right towards the punter.
Nicely done, Trump. Which gives me a chance to follow up on what we were saying about Hasselbeck and the player representative. They're talking about a Tuesday deadline. Strike, yes? What do you think?
My personal opinion is that was a plant. I can see nothing being accomplished by striking next Tuesday. It appears to me that the best way to do it might be after the 3rd game.
Illegal motion. Number 22 on the offense. Still 4th down.
Keith Lee, number 22.
As I was saying, I think the planted story about a proposed strike was to put pressure on the negotiations. And it may still work. Hopefully they'll go back to the table tomorrow.
When you say game 3 being a more logical point to stop because at that point they would be vested with regard to pension and everything else.
Correct.
Get another year in.
Correct.
Camarillo's next one. Harper at the 12 for a fair catch. So in truth, the Jets were better off before they accepted the penalty. A 45-yard punt for Camarillo, no return. We've got 22 seconds to play in the first quarter, still no score. You'll recall the last time these two teams played here, it was a miserable day. Nearly monsoon winds, heavy rains. The Jets came out with a victory 17-6, but it was a costly one. They had a lot of injuries in that game, including to their quarterback, Richard Todd, who broke a rib, but then played heroically in a victory the next week at home against the Dolphins. Short drop and throw for Johnny Lamb Jones.
Don't let him loose.
They were pleased that last week Jones caught a tough pass over the middle and then was crunched by the Dolphins secondary. That's something that he had appeared reluctant to do in his first 2 years in the league.
One of the things that will make Jones a much more valuable receiver for the Jets are these little hitch patterns, as I believe they're called, as the first quarter comes to an end. That makes him a lot better deep threat when they can count on him for some kind of short pattern consistently.
Threat of the first quarter ended when Freeman McNeil fumbled at about the New England 30. Clayton Weiss soon recovered it. Patriots got down into Jet territory a while later, but a sack against Kavanaugh by Klecko pushed them back, and they had to punt. First play of the second quarter with Freeman McNeil, who carried 13 times for 116 yards last week against the Dolphins.
Interesting point, I believe, on Freeman McNeil in the offseason. He got up to about 230 pounds. And Walt Michaels dropped the axe, said, wait a minute, son, we want you at less than you were last year. So he came in about 210 or 215, which is about 8 or 9 pounds lighter than he was last season.
Last year, McNeil played in only 11 of the Jets' 16 regular season games and started but 6. He could be a 1,000-yard rusher if he stays healthy this year.
And they think that by losing the 10 pounds, he'll remain healthier, less stress on his feet, which seemed to be a problem for him.
The Jets with a first down at their 23. Todd with the short drop, and Wesley Walker wishes he didn't. Mike Haynes drills him.
That play had no chance. Julius Adams, 85, was coming out of the backfield. He knew immediately what was happening. You see Haynes, 26. Well, yes, there he is. No chance whatsoever. Chris Ward is to kind of peel him off Wesley Walker, but Ward had no chance. Well read by Mike Haynes and the New England Patriots.
Mike Haynes switching sides this year from the right to the left. What does that mean to a cornerback in terms of adjustment?
Different technique, but basically it's about the same spot. A lot of defenses rotate their cornerbacks from side to side to match them up with specific receivers.
After the loss of 5 at 2nd and 15, they go with the draw to McNeil, and McNeil squirts to the outside. He's at the 40 and near the 45-yard line with a first down.
No flags.
Fourth out of bounds, number 26, Ray Claiborne.
McNeil is a gliding kind of runner who appears to be able to pick his openings as he goes. Not so much a straight-ahead acceleration, but a little dance, a little move to this side, and a hop back to the other.
29 yards on the carry by Freeman McNeil, and you see the inexperience of that defensive line of the New England Patriots. They just didn't read the draw quick enough. Watch Wesley Walker trying to block on Claiborne. That's a draw.
The ball is put at the 47. Todd under pressure gets rid of it, and it's incomplete. And there's a flag down on the play.
That's in the area of holding.
The indication is that it is against the Jets.
Well, last week, as you said, Bob, the Jets had 13 penalties marked off against them. Actually, 16 called and 13 marked off against them.
Got to look at Walt Michaels. Back in 1963, when he was a defensive coach under Weeb Eubank, Red Cashin with the call.
Holding, number 65 on the offense. Still first down.
Center Joe Fields has the finger pointed at him.
Very unusual.
Walt Michaels, as the Raiders in Atlanta are tied at 7 in the first, Walt Michaels had been out of football as an active player, hadn't practiced in 2 years, and because of a shortage of linebackers, he played a game here in the old AFL in Boston against the Patriots, played a whole game at linebacker in 1963, 2 years after he'd ever even practiced.
Wow, I didn't know that.
First down, 20. Walker makes the catch, and they get about 10.
Interesting call here, a half roll. by Richard Todd, and it appears the reason is to open up the field for Wesley Walker. You'll see it if he can make this catch and get to the outside. It's a foot race to the sideline. And I think I would favor Wesley Walker in that situation, but James makes a heck of a tackle.
On the 47-yard line will be second down and 10.
13 minutes and 20 seconds remaining, second quarter, still no score. The ball back to the original line of scrimmage. Second down, 10 from the 47. Bruce Harper gets the call, and Harper on his first carry of the day is very close to a first down.
This guy's amazing. He was the Jets' leading punt returner, kickoff returner, receiver, second leading rusher in 81, third leading scorer. It's a shame that they can't clone that kid. Good job by the Jet offensive line, just kind of spreading out those front three, or I should say front five of the New England Patriots. Kutztown State he's from.
It's third down and a short one. The ball spotted just across the 44-yard line. Augustiniak struggling for it and getting it. He gave Don Blackman a ride, and the Jets have a first down at about the 38-yard line of New England. Let's check in now with NFL 82 in New York.
Thank you, Bob. Len Berman, NFL 82 in New York. At Arrowhead Stadium, Maury Buford punting for San Diego. Gary Green blocked it for Kansas City. Calvin Daniels couldn't pick it up, but Dave Klug could. Kansas City leads it 7-0 in the second quarter. Let's go back to Bob Costas.
All right, Lenny, first down Jets. 38-yard line of the pass. 11:50 to play, second quarter. Augustiniak to about the 28-yard line. And this will be close to a first down. Let's see where they put it down. It'll be 2nd and 1.
Choosing to stay inside. They're putting the two guards in the center on that nose man. And if you can beat the nose man in the 34 defense, many people have said it many times, but it's always worth reminding the folks that you can beat the 34 defense by beating the nose man. Get him off the ball, and that puts that little bow in the defensive line of scrimmage.
Walker in motion at the snap. Fake to McNeil. He'll put it in the air on 2nd and 1. Swinging it out to McNeil. Good play. First down for the Jets. McNeil to the 24-yard line before Mike Haynes stops him.
That play was designed, I believe, to go to Mike Augustiniak on a halfback out and up. But he was well covered by the linebacker out there, alternate receiver Freeman McNeil. Good patience by Richard Todd. Good time. And McNeil makes a fine catch.
They drafted a rookie named Dwayne Crutchfield, a 6-footer, 235 out of Iowa State, and ultimately Crutchfield and McNeil might be their backfield.
Ken Sims.
Sims, there he is, slamming Augustiniak down.
Great job. Came inside Marvin Powell. It appeared to be a predetermined move. And the Jets had two tight ends in there. You'll see Sims come out of nowhere, and he does slam Augustiniak to the turf.
Sims played tackle at Texas, correct?
Correct.
Now he's got to move outside in a 3-4 situation. Now there's an adjustment for him.
Tremendous adjustment. A lot more responsibility on that defensive end than is ever on a defensive tackle.
2-yard loss on the play, 2nd and 12. In trouble is Todd and belted down by Roland James. Larry McGrew was also there.
Safety blitz. Rather unusual by the New England Patriots. And the New England Patriot is down. Watch Williams. They all try to engage an offensive lineman, leave the strong safety free, and there he comes. And it was more of a bump than a sack.
It's going to be 3rd and 23 for the Jets when we come back with 9:40 left.
Watch the very end of this play. It appears that Larry McGrew, after James is on the ground, makes contact with his helmet, and it's bye-bye time.
For the moment, at least, Paul Dombrowski, number 47, comes in to replace James while he pulls himself back together on the sidelines. Todd is 7 for 9 for 45 yards so far. He faces 3rd and 23.
front for New England.
They brought Dennis Owens, number 98, into the game.
Fumble.
Can't get away, fumbles the ball, and New England has it. That's Owens with it. Lester Williams, number 72, in the process of making the sack, knocked it away, and then Owens recovered it. This 1982 National Football League game is brought to you by Chevrolet and your local Chevy dealers from coast to coast, by a company called TRW, where tomorrow is taking shape, and by Hager's slacks and sport coats that make you look and feel your best. New England has it back with 9:11 to play in the first half. Dennis Owens with the recovery after Lester Williams had knocked it free. Now with 9:11 to play in the quarter, the Pats have the ball back. Robert Weathers carries. And let's watch that fumble by Todd again, Trump.
I think you'll see Lester Williams just keeping his hands free from the offensive guard. Four-man rush, and just kind of strips away from his hand. Just kind of pokes it in there. Good job. And the ball is loose. And the recovery by New England, 1st and 10.
2nd and 9 now with Todd on the sidelines. Injury update, Freeman McNeil took a shot on the elbow. They're tending to him on the Jets sideline. Roland James kicked in the head on the other side, and evidently he'll be back after a while for the Patriots. Tony Collins struggles, only back to the line of scrimmage. 3rd and long coming up, but first to NFL 82 in New York for an update.
Joe Flacco on the stop for the Jets.
This is Len Berman, NFL 82 in New York. Here's the showdown in Pittsburgh. Terry Bradshaw's doing it again. 11 yards to John Stallworth. Pittsburgh's leading Cincinnati 7-0 in the second quarter. Back to Bob Costas.
What about those Steelers, Trump?
They're tough in Three River Stadium, but I still pick Cincinnati.
Three wide receivers are in. Morris Bradshaw, Preston Brown, and Stanley Morgan. Kavanaugh has it intercepted. Picked off by Darrell Ray. Ray across the 40. Ray across the 25. Ray still on his feet. What a return by Darrell Ray to almost the 15-yard line before Mark Van Egan halted it. A 43-yard return after the interception.
I'll tell you what, you're not going to find a defensive back any better than Darrell Ray. Now, the design of the New York Jet defense is they prefer to have their backs standing back there reading the eyes of the quarterback. And in 2 years, now in his 3rd, Darrell Ray has got, that's his 14th career interception. And I personally saw that kid when they played in the Orange Bowl a couple of years ago with shoulder pads and a helmet, stuff the football over the crossbar, which is 10 feet tall. That is one heck of an athlete.
First interception of this season for Ray. And the Jets with the best opportunity for either club. Freeman McNeil evidently all right and carries to the 10-yard line. Give him about 7 on the play as Ray receives congratulations on the sideline. 2nd and 3 coming up with 7 minutes and 15 seconds to play in the first half. So far, a scoreless half.
Shame that kid missed the Pro Bowl last year. New York Jets had the feeling he missed it by 1 vote. And that's Roland James being assisted on the sideline.
Derek Gaffney in motion for the Jets. McNeil carries again. That'll be close to a first down. Don Blackman, who had a big game last week against the Colts with an interception and a fumble recovery, makes the tackle. Julius Adams helps him out.
So far, the New York Jets are controlling the line of scrimmage. This is a simple game to win. If you can control about 10 inches worth of turf, and that is the 10 inches from the point farthest away from the offense towards the defense, you're going to win the game. If you get a bow in that defensive line, the running back should be able to get up through there. And so far, the Jets are doing just that.
Red Cashin's crew wants to take a look.
That's a first down by very little bit.
One of those pebbles at the edge of the ball.
Yes.
By the grain. Jets with nearly triple the rushing yardage of the Pats.
But twice the turnovers.
Turnovers have stopped them twice in New England territory. Now 1st and goal. The ball just across the 7-yard line. 6.5 minutes to play in the second quarter. McNeil and Augustiniak line up in an I. They pitch it to McNeil. And the Patriot defense is waiting for him.
Larry McGrew, number 50, did an excellent job taking on Augustiniak in the offensive backfield from his outside linebacker spot. Made McNeil jump back inside, and then it's the job of the defense to stand everybody up. You see Ken Sims making penetration. Good job by the New England Patriots there.
Virtually no gain on the play. 2nd down and goal. The ball between the 6 and 7-yard lines. Augustiniak. A little extra effort gave him an added yard or two, down to about the 3.
This is a tough down. 3rd down and 3 yards for a touchdown. This is difficult to get it in. In the past, last year, Richard Todd almost exclusively looked at Jerome Barkham. I think of the 47 catches he had, 9 were for touchdowns. He always seemed to get open. And of course, he's a former first-round draft choice, and when Rich Castor was the tight end for the Jets, Barkham was an outside receiver, so he's got good speed. I'd look for Barkham here.
Tom Newton is in the game, as is Scott Durking. Barkham and Durking are out to the right. 4-man front New England. There it is. He can walk home. Augustiniak, but there is a flag down.
Holding New York Jets, and they use Jerome Barkham as a decoy, trying to run a little pick out there. 2 fumbles, and now a major penalty, and it's going to be 3rd down and 18 to get into the end zone. It's amazing how in some games, some teams will absolutely self-destruct. And so far, that's exactly what's happened to the New York Jets.
Here's Red.
Holding number 72 on the offense. Still 3rd down.
Chris Ward, the left tackle, their number 1 draft choice back in 1978, is guilty of holding. So with 4:56 now on the clock in the second quarter,
now the New England
3rd and goal at the 13.
Excuse me. Now the New England Patriots have a tremendous advantage because all patterns must be run into the end zone. That's 13 yards deep, which is probably 3 yards deeper than they're used to running the patterns.
Double wide receiver set on the left. Todd has lots of time, but he doesn't have a touchdown.
Double coverage. Jerome Barkham, the intended receiver. They had coverage short and deep on him. Ricky Smith and Keith Lee. Over and under coverage, I believe they call it.
Well, now Pat Leahy will come in and try and snap the scoreless tie. He didn't have a field goal attempt last week against the Dolphins. He hit all 4 of his point-after-touchdown tries.
Watch the snap. Their snapper, Steve Alvarez, has got a rifle shot back there.
Gets it back in good shape. Pat Ryan puts it down, and Leahy boots it through. A 30-yarder by Pat Leahy puts the Jets on the board with 4 minutes and 47 seconds to play second quarter. 3-0 New York. Leahy to kick with Ricky Smith back deep near the goal line. Short kick, 15-yard line Smith. Across the 30. So the New England offense, which has hardly been overpowering, now faces a 3-0 deficit with 4:37 to play in the half. Next Sunday, if. These are some of the games. Trump, you think so? You think we'll be in Houston for the Bills and the Oilers next week?
I think so, yes. I think that story's a plant. Strike on Tuesday.
How about a strike at some time?
Oh, I think there'll be a strike. Somebody's got to bleed somewhere before they get this thing settled. There'll be a strike.
Single setback is Mark Van Egan carrying on first down. Gain of a couple. Trump, how does the situation differ from 1974 when you were an active player, no freedom, no football, preseason walkout, and now?
Well, basically, it's the same thing as I see it. With freedom, they expected the prices to escalate, and they have gotten no freedom from that 74 strike. It took them 3 years to settle that, you'll remember. They signed the collective bargaining agreement in 1977. Now they want more money. They're not going to get the freedom. I don't agree with the percentage of profits, and it takes some guts to negotiate for 8 months and then 4 days before a strike raised the ante, which is what I think the Players Association did.
Weathers catches the swing pass out of the backfield and gets to about the 35-yard line. Let's pause briefly for station identification on the NBC television network.
This is WNBC TV, New York.
3rd and 5 coming up for Kavanaugh and the Pats.
Bob, a comment for the New England Patriots. I've done the Patriots for many, many years. This is the most patient I have ever seen their offense. One of the great problems I've always seen the Patriots is having is being too anxious to throw the ball to Harold Jackson, who's now gone, and Stanley Morgan down the field. They're not making a lot of yards, and they're behind 3-0, but they're exhibiting great patience, which I think is something to their credit.
3 wide receivers are in: Brown, Bradshaw, and Morgan. 3rd down, 5, 3:51 on the clock.
Klecko.
The coverage was good. The protection evaporated. Second Jet sack with Klecko leading the charge, as you said, Trump.
Joe Klecko.
Interesting, too, that the New York Jets went to a twist. That is a game up front. Generally, they'll have these guys just rush straight, but you see Salam come outside. You see Gastineau go inside, but the pressure comes from the other side. And Klecko gets his second of the season, 20.5 last year.
Initially, Kavanaugh had enough time, but the Jets secondary did a good job of covering his receivers, and then eventually the sack exchange got to him. Camarillo to kick. Harper waiting at his own 30. 3-0 Jets. 3:22 to play second quarter. Good kick by Camarillo again. Hello. Let it go, Bruce, and hope it goes in, which it does.
Not a bad kick.
Let's see. The line of scrimmage was the 24. He has your basic 76-yard punt, Trump.
Who has the longest punt in the history of the NFL?
It's a 98-yarder, wasn't it?
Steve O'Neill, New York
Of
Jets.
the Jets. In Denver, was it not? Commercial time. We're coming back. McNeil and Augustiniak are the backs, both wide receivers on the right side. A bullet to Wesley Walker. And Walker dances out to the 38-yard line for a gain of 18 before Mike Haynes makes the tackle.
Notice on the other side of the field, Keith Lee, cornerback for the New England Patriots. James still out. 17 yards on the pass and catch. Well thrown right over the outstretched arms there. And Walker with that great speed and the ability to get up the field.
Mentioned that last year this was a scene of many injury horrors for the Jets, even though they won the game. Todd with a broken rib. His replacement, Pat Ryan, sprained an ankle. They wondered who they'd have to use at quarterback the next week, but Todd managed to make it back and take them to victory over the Dolphins. Bobby Jackson broke an arm and was out until the playoff game with Buffalo. Todd wants to go up top.
He's there. Oh, interference.
Gotta be pass interference.
Yes, sir.
Lamb Jones outran Mike Haynes on the fly pattern, and Haynes did the only thing he could.
I'll tell you what, though, if I'm going to make up a relay team, one of those guys is going to start and one of those guys is going to finish. This is well thrown by Richard Todd, throwing it up, let the receiver adjust. Now, Haynes' problem, he never sees the ball, so he has to try to adjust to the player, and the interference call.
Johnny Lamb Jones, in his first 2 years in the league, after being a #1 draft choice out of Texas, 45 receptions.
Number 40 on the defense. First down.
45 receptions, 6 touchdowns in his first 2 years. Fair to say, disappointing. Will he become an NFL star, Trump?
I don't know. I think you have to adjust your offense to a man of that kind of speed. You just can't put him in your offense and outrun zones the way a lot of people expected Johnny Lamb Jones to do.
The ball just across the 20 as Freeman McNeil carries. 5, maybe 6.
That was run right at Kenneth Sims. Good job by Marvin Powell. We have given Mr. Sims credit there several times. Now we go to the other side of the line of scrimmage. All-pro offensive tackle Marvin Powell.
We reached the 2-minute warning. When we come back, it's going to be 2nd down and 4 yards to go from the 14-yard line.
West Newbury Report, would you please report to first aid West John Adams?
Here at the Jet helm for 52-year-old Walt Michaels, Lenny Berman and company coming up with NFL 82 at halftime.
Walt Michaels and the New England and the New York Jets are 1-5 against the Patriots here in Foxborough.
The ball at the 14, where it's 2nd down and 4. Freeman McNeil takes the pitch and gets the first down before Steve Nelson rides him out.
Taken down by Steve Nelson.
baseball next week on NBC. San Diego at Atlanta with Joe and Tony. I'll be at Shea with Sal Bando, the Phillies, and the Mets as the pennant races come to the wire.
That we will have, correct?
There's no question.
Okay.
No baseball strike. We took care of that last year.
Okay. Did you notice the acceleration by Freeman McNeil on that sweep? Got that fifth gear, that overdrive that just scoots him outside the linebacker.
First and goal at the 8 with 1:54 to play until halftime.
Barkham.
Let's see if he finds him. He's going to keep it, and he's there. Touchdown, Todd.
Intended receiver, Jerome Barkham. Good call by Joe Walton and the New York Jets. Roll out. They had the backs going to the right. Todd coming to the left, and I have a feeling that they might have taken that from the Cincinnati Bengals. You see Blackman on the blitz. Todd gets to the outside, fakes the pass, and then sprints to the corner.
Well, the Jets covered 80 yards in a big hurry, thanks mostly to the bomb in the direction of Johnny Lamb Jones, on which Mike Haynes was called for pass interference. Leahy for the point after. 10-0 New York with 1:48 now remaining in the first half. We'll return to Schaefer Stadium in Foxborough right after this. The preceding announcement was furnished as a public service by the National Football League. First downs in the game. The Jets have 12, the Pats have 3, and New England does not have a first down in the second quarter. Leahy gets it all, and Ricky Smith says, I'll stay right here, thank you.
Good choice. Well, now we're going to see the New England Patriots throw the football. There's no doubt about that. I think Cavanaugh is just 3 for 6 for 36 yards, so he's got to get it down the field.
A lot of talk about the controlled passing attack that Ron Meyer favors. Is it a good idea with the personnel he has, Trump?
Great idea. I do believe that that's the way you now win in the NFL. Don't try to get it all in one big chunk. You've got to have a ball possession. 6 or 8 or 10-yard patterns are good. I'd look for Stanley Morgan here, and I'd also look for double coverage on Stanley Morgan.
Cavanaugh finds Collins. Collins, an excellent pass receiving back. Caught a 33-yarder, big play last week against Baltimore. Let's talk about Ron Meyer a little bit.
Okay.
Both he and Frank Kush in Baltimore took over teams that were 2-14. But New England, a different kind of 2-14. Just a year removed from 10-6 in 1980, and contenders year after year. A lot of veteran players. They may not take to the kind of discipline that Meyer favors, as well as all the free agents and young players in Baltimore.
I'll tell you what, though, when you lose and lose consistently, and a new guy comes in and says, 1, you can't spike it. 2, you're going to go on a weight training program. And 3, I'm the boss. The veterans listen because they don't want to lose. Nobody wants to go through their... Poor John Hanna's gone through most of his career being on the short end of the record. Nobody wants that. There are sacrifices to be made in professional football, and they are made to win.
How does a man who's been around the league for a while, maybe he's approaching his 30s, he's an intelligent and independent man outside football, how does he rationalize some of the regimentation? Where does he draw the line between discipline that leads to a goal and being demeaned?
Well, you're speaking of John Hanna or anybody around those days?
Speaking of you or any football player.
I think you realize that when you're in the game of football, there is one man in charge. And if you want to play the game and win, and obviously you have to convince the players that what you're saying is correct. And if you can do that...
The Cavanaugh bomb is broken up. Holmes was there on the coverage. Morgan really never got behind him.
No.
Good coverage by Holmes.
But to finish my thought, if Ron Meyer can convince the New England Patriots what he's saying is correct, they'll be winners. Here you see the road runner, just a straight foot race. And this is trying a little too hard. I think Holmes had excellent coverage. No reason to throw that. There had to be somebody else open.
So you're saying that salesmanship and the power of a guy's personality is every bit as important as the soundness of the program itself?
Absolutely. Most assuredly.
3rd down 1 with 1:37 remaining till halftime. There's Tatupu in motion. Van Egan gets the first down. Both clubs have all 3 of their first half timeouts remaining. Patriots don't use one. They break a huddle. No huddle, as a matter of fact, and line up quickly. Three wide receivers are in for the Pats. It's beyond Stanley Morgan, who was open, and Cavanaugh missed it.
In this 2-minute drill now, you'll see the New England Patriots constantly running patterns to the sidelines with 3 timeouts you don't scratch for inches. You try to save seconds. And, of course, the New York Jets on the other side, if they do get a chance to make a tackle, keep the guy in bounds, make them hurry up, and don't let anybody get behind you. In the 2-minute offense, everybody says, how in the world can they gain so many yards? Well, the Jet defensive backs are only protecting the yardage behind them. They don't care what happens in front of them. They hope the clock gets the New England Patriots before they get the end zone.
Kavanaugh in some trouble and can't get out of it. That's the third sack exchange connection of the day, with Ben Rudolph playing in place of the injured Marty Lyons there. And Bob Crable from his linebacker spot as well. There's Crable celebrating.
Interesting, the Jets go to the blitz, something they don't generally do. They leave it up to the 4-man up front. But you see, he's in trouble at the outset. He's got people running him out of the pocket. There's no chance for him to even set up and throw the ball.
They go with the draw play. Under a minute, Collins breaks a tackle. And Collins out to about the 24-yard line. It's going to be 4th down, and they'll have to kick. Now let's see if the Jets call a timeout, and they do. Collins' numbers so far, 9 carries, 30 yards, a far cry from his outstanding first half in Baltimore last Sunday. Now, Walt Michaels, by reputation, is very conservative. You'll recall his strategy in the overtime game against the Dolphins last year in Miami. He went for a field goal when he might have tried for a touchdown in the playoff game against Buffalo. What do you think he'll do here? With 40 seconds remaining, he's got a couple of timeouts left. Is he likely to sit on this 10-0, or is he going to go up top and try and put more on the board?
I think they got to go for as many points as they possibly can. There's no reason to be conservative with they're going to get the ball with probably 30 seconds left. That's time enough to throw a couple of passes. Leahy can kick it from a pretty good distance.
Leahy's longest is 49 yards.
The most important thing before they get the ball back is that if you're the special teams coach of the Jets, you say, give me a good return. You want Bruce Harper to get the ball back about 10 or 15 yards here. Flag down.
Fair catch at the 34.
I think that's going to be an illegal chuck on the New York Jets.
For now, it's a 43-yard punt for Camarillo, but let's see if they bring it back.
Holding Jets. Now, is it before the punt or after the punt?
A 30-yard field goal by Leahy and an 8-yard scramble run by Richard Todd have the Jets in front 10-0. All the scoring here in the second quarter.
After the punt. Well, now I'm not so sure you throw it up.
Holding number 21 of the receivers after the ball was kicked. 1st and 10.
Kirk Springs was holding. Now they're back at the 24-yard line with 33 seconds and 2 timeouts remaining.
The Jets do appear to have their passing set in there. Durking, they have Harper, and they've got great speed on the outside with Walker and with Lamb Jones.
Todd is 8 for 11 in the first half, good for 62 yards, and this one is thrown away over the head of Harper. The fans want intentional grounding, but Harper, A, was close enough to it, and B, and most important, Todd was in no immediate danger of being sacked. And the rule is you have to throw it away to avoid loss of yardage. That's the key distinction.
And 3, none of the fans here in Schaefer Stadium have had anything to cheer about, so why not boo?
Excellent observation.
Seems a viable alternative at this point, down 10-0.
Trump hanging around Cincinnati, doing your radio show. How solid are the Bengals, as one example, in the strike situation?
Don't believe they're very solid. New England Patriots, extremely solid for the Players Association.
Scott Durking carried. We're inside 20 seconds, and the clock is moving. And the Jets showing no particular eagerness to stop it.
One last Hail Mary. Nope.
Not even that. Bruce Harper. This will be the last play of the first half, which will end with the Jets in front 10-0 with Lester Williams wrapping Bruce Harper up. So the Bengals are not solid, but the Pats are.
Very much so. I believe going back to the days of Randy Bataha, he was one of the real kingpins of the Players Association. Hopefully we'll have football next weekend.
How do you assess it around the league if you had to break it down?
Well, one of the problems is you have so many players who don't know which way to go, who will go with the majority just to keep team unity. whatever the decision is.
Can management put on games if they strike?
I think they'll try.
And we'll come back to New England with the Jets in front 10-0 at halftime right after this. We come back to Foxborough. Bob Costas along with Bob Trumpy with the Jets in front 10-0 at halftime. And while we have an opportunity before we go to Len Berman and the rest of the crew at NFL 82, on the pregame show you had some pretty harsh words about Ed Garvey and the Players Association.
Well, having gone through a strike with the Players Association in 70 and 74, I think the Players Association has been terribly, terribly misled. It is my opinion that Ed Garvey is trying to become the most powerful labor leader there is in this country. And I don't think he has any intention whatsoever of trying to get the best deal possible for the players. If he can be in control of 1,500 football players with an average salary of about $200,000 each, he is going to be somebody to deal with. And that to me is unforgivable. Plus, I don't like the attitude of people like Gene Upshaw saying that, one, the 55% of gross is written in stone, and then after they get off that, 50% of the TV revenues is now non-negotiable. I don't think you go into any situation dealing with $2.1 billion to split up and say nothing is negotiable. You've got to be open and give management a chance to put money on the table. I didn't like management's proposal. I thought it was a real buy-off, but at the same time, I think they are willing to pay the players an awful lot of money. Sit down and negotiate. Hammer it out. Try to figure out what the dollar amount is. Split it up, and let's play football.
Right now, let's go back to New York. NFL 82. Well, evidently, we're going to take a look at a touchdown play in the first half. Richard Todd running in from 8 yards out. He was looking for Jerome Barkham, as you said, Trump, but ultimately, he wound up scrambling in and just barely made it to the corner.
Good choice. Option for the quarterback here, and Todd can still run the ball. There were a few years ago, he ran the ball consistently. One of the best running quarterbacks there was in the NFL. 7 points for the Jets.
And a 10-0 halftime lead. Len Berman, Mike Adamle, Pete Axtell, and all the rest of the guys are standing by at NFL 82 in New York. And let's check in with them.
Pittsburgh game is not a high-scoring shootout, low-scoring thus far at halftime. And Kansas City is doing it to San Diego, although interesting, Kansas City has still not scored an offensive touchdown so far this season. Okay, let's check out all the scores and highlights as we have them right now in week number 2. The Raiders are leading in Atlanta. 10-7 is our score there. And at Fulton County Stadium, you know, you have two teams, both 1-0. Look at this play in the end zone. Jim Plunkett escapes. He's not sacked. No 2 points. Just bloops it out of there. Incomplete for Jim Plunkett. Marcus Allen continuing to do it all. Here, Plunkett at quarterback. Back to Marcus Allen. Look at this. Allen throwing a pass. He wants the Rookie of the Year honors right now. 47 yards to Cliff Branch. That sets up the next play. Plunkett throws to whom else? Marcus Allen again. 7-0 as the Raiders took the lead. Marcus Allen today rushing 7 tries, 48 yards. But Atlanta came back and tied it up. Short touchdown run, William Andrews. That tied it at 7. A Chris Barr 35-yard field goal gave the Raiders the 10-7 lead in the second quarter. The game in Foxborough this afternoon was scoreless after 1, but the Jets now at halftime leading the Patriots 10-0. As you know, the sack exchange was shut out last week in their opener against the Dolphins. Not today. Sack number 1 of the season. Do it any way you can. Joe Klecko does it, grabbing Kavanaugh's jersey and pulling him down. The Jets with a handful of sacks so far in the first half. Now Kavanaugh overthrowing. And here goes Darrell Ray on the interception. 43 yards, Darrell Ray with the pickoff try. That set up the Leahy field goal. That made it 3-0 at the time. Good run by Darrell Ray later in the second quarter. Richard Todd, 8-yard run, put the Jets up 10-0. That's where they are right now. And at Bush Memorial Stadium, full house there. That's our score, Cowboys and St. Louis. Cowboys got a 29-yard touchdown pass to Danny White to Doug Cosby, who'd replaced Billy Joe Dupre. Neil Lomax, 4 yards to Pat Silly on a pass, tied it up there in the second quarter. Dallas 7, St. Louis 7. Now let's go to Mike Adamle. Some more scores and highlights. Michael?
Lynn, anytime Ken Anderson and Terry Bradshaw get together, you expect offensive fireworks, but that has not been the case today in Three Rivers Stadium. Last week, Kenny Anderson threw for 354 yards, but he has been unable to get on track today. 2 touchdowns also a week ago, but it has been all Pittsburgh so far. Bradshaw got the Steelers on the board first with this 11-yard touchdown pass to John Stallworth, 7-0. Since he drove to the 10 later in the quarter, but this pass of Anderson was intercepted by Donnie Shell. It is now Steelers 10, Bengals 3 after a field goal by Breach and a field goal by Gary Anderson. The Philadelphia Eagles have not beaten the Cleveland Browns in Municipal Stadium since 1960, back in the days of their championship. Norm Van Brocklin, Pete Retzlaff, and they are trailing the Browns today by the score of 7-3. Brian Sipe has a touchdown pass, 19 yards to Ozzie Newsome in that game. San Diego versus Kansas City, the opener in Arrowhead Stadium. That game is 13-0 Chiefs. The Chiefs have not beat the Chargers in 6 tries, as you see Marv Levy on the sidelines getting his Chiefs ready. And here's the big play of the game. Gary Green blocks this Murray Buford punt. It is scooped up by Calvin Daniels. He dribbles the ball into the end zone. And finally, Dave Klug recovers. The Chiefs on top of the Chargers, 13-0. Nick Lowry has added a pair of field goals in that game. Mike Ditka's debut as a coach for the Bears was spoiled last week in Detroit, and he is on the losing end of a 7-0 score in Soldiers Field. Kenny Stabler, the only quarterback the Steelers or the Saints have, is still the starter, and he has a 10-yard touchdown pass to Larry Hardy in that game.
Okay, Michael, we'll have some more scores and highlights coming up. Also some thoughts from Pete Axthelm as we continue on Sunday number 2 of the NFL 82 season. We'll be right back.
The problem that New England now has is being down 10 points, they got to throw the football. And when you throw the football and give the New York Sack Exchange an excuse to really tee off, you're putting an awful lot of pressure on your offensive line. So it seems to me that they're going to have to be very selective as to what they do. The scoring, the only touchdown in the first half, a run-pass option by Richard Todd, rolling away from his throwing arm. You'll see once he gets outside the linebacker, there's nobody there. I believe his intended receiver was Jerome Barkham. He sees him covered, tucks it under, puts it on the outside arm, 7 yards and a touchdown, and that made it 10-0 New York Jets.
Well, now with the Sack Exchange ready to tee off, we'll see if New England can mount any kind of offense in the second half. We'll be back after these messages and a word from your local station. New England to receive to start the second half. Now, last week at Shea Stadium, Miami used a couple of ploys to foil the Sack Exchange. Short drops by David Woodley. They went into a shotgun. Woodley with some shovel handoffs out of that shotgun. They ran some bootlegs. Is that something that New England might take a page from Shula's book and copy today?
You can't do it unless you practice it all week. And from the conservative nature of the New England Patriots offense, I don't think they have it in there. So they're going to have to go with what they've got on the game plan.
Ricky Smith from about the goal line on the Leahy kick doesn't get to the 20.
Bob, to start this second half with the 3 sacks by the New York Jets, the New England Patriots have a grand total of 2 net yards passing.
The only change in either starting lineup, offense or defense, as we move into the second half is that Roland James is still not available for duty after being kicked in the head while sacking Richard Todd in the first half. And Paul Dombrowski is going to open when the Jets have the ball. He'll open at strong safety in the second half for New England. And the word we get now is that Roland James will not return at all today. Trailing 10-0, Kavanaugh brings the Pats up. This is a short drop for him and a toss over the middle incomplete, and Kavanaugh simply missed Collins. Let's look at the Jet defense once more. One new member of the Sack Exchange, Marty Lyons at right tackle, fractured thumb, Ben Rudolph in his place, and it looks like they haven't missed a beat with Lyons out. Crable is in for the injured Buttle with Blinka and Mel completing the linebacker core. Jackson and Holmes the corners, Schroy and Ray the safeties, and Ray with that interception and long return instrumental in giving the Jets the 10-0 first half lead.
His 14th in 3 years of play in the NFL.
Kavanaugh with the play fake to Collins. And the completion out to the 40-yard line. A diving catch by Stanley Morgan.
20 yards on the pass and catch. And Abdul Salam was right in Kavanaugh's face, and it kind of affected his follow-through. And you'll see this ball kind of die into the ground. Watch 74. Kind of affects it. You see the ball going down. Morgan, a great job coming back. And the point of that ball was towards the ground, but that's a great reception. First down. Now that's good, patient passing offense. That's not throwing it up for grabs as I've seen New England do for so many years.
They spot the ball at the 38-yard line, where it's 1st and 10 New England. Tony Collins carrying. And the second-year man from East Carolina is across the 40 to the 41 for a first down gain of 3 before Lance Mell makes the tackle.
Now, this 2nd and 8 situation is exactly what the New York Jets want. Now they can really go after the quarterback, kind of disregard the pass. Up 10 points, and with 2nd down and 8, you can go with that good pass rush up front.
You meant to say disregard the run, right?
Yes. What did I say?
Disregard the pass.
I stand corrected. Disregard the run.
Collins is 10 for 33 in his rushing attempts today after gaining 137 last week. Cavanaugh throws it as far as he can for Morgan, and it's broken up. Morgan almost pulled it off there, coming back toward the ball, and it looked for a while as if the defensive back lost track of it.
We'll watch Joe Klecko at the line of scrimmage, and he gets inside the offensive tackle, but Shelby Jordan, the other tackle, helps out on Brian Holloway, and you see Cavanaugh throw it almost full trajectory, but still underthrown.
Morgan was almost able to come back and turn Ken Schroy around and make the catch. 3rd and 7 from the 41, 13-15 to play.
Now those defensive linemen getting their sprinter stance, Bob, head straight upfield to the quarterback.
Give the ball to Collins. It looks like he's going to be short by about a yard. Some of the fans here in Foxborough disapprove of that 3rd down call.
Well, I think they wanted to go for it on 4th down. Wrong choice. The New England Patriots are still in this ball game, and if they can get decent field position with a good punt here from Camarillo, who has kicked the ball very well in the first half, they'll at least have the Jets back there 1st and 80, or hopefully 1st and more than 80.
The last time Camarillo kicked, it was good for 76 yards. Harper is standing at the 10. Camarillo is going to meet this across his 35. White Wheeler snaps it, and there's a whistle, and they have taken too long. That probably doesn't hurt them too badly. Gives Camarillo a little bit more room to kick it.
I'm not sure that that was the plan, though.
Perhaps not the plan, but maybe the net effect.
There's Ron Meyer down 10-0. And Rich Camarillo, one of the positive things about the New England Patriots in their 2-14 season last year, that kid, it's been a lot of years since anybody has averaged 40 yards a kick for a season. He did last year, and today, look at that. Certainly bolstered by that 76-yard punt.
After the walk-off of 5, Camarillo stands inside his 30. Under very little pressure, gets off a relatively short kick, but it takes a New England bounce, and Harper has trouble with it. And has to simply fall on it to prevent the turnover at the 17-yard line. A 41-yard Camarillo punt. And with 12 minutes and 15 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter, the Jets have the ball and the 10-point lead. Mickey Schuler is in now, lining up on the right side.
2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, 1 running back.
Schuler comes out in motion. Todd to throw to that lone running back, Freeman McNeil. McNeil makes a nice move and is very close to a first down across the 25. This 1982 National Football League game is brought to you by the new Chrysler Corporation. Chrysler has the cars, the quality, and the prices America needs. By Visa, the most widely recognized name in the world for travel, shopping, and cash. And by Kentucky Fried Chicken. We do chicken right. They pick up 9 on the pass and run, 2nd and 1 from the 26.
They're going to measure. Nice little play. Pull the center out, Joe Fields. He blocks on the linebacker. And Freeman McNeil just on a swing pass.
Short by a foot, maybe a foot and a half.
You were right.
For those who like to note such milestones, that was the 1,000th completion of Richard Todd's NFL career. McNeil and Augustiniak open as the backs. Walker, Jones, and Bargum the receivers. Ward, Waldemore, Fields, Alexander, and Powell on the right side of that offensive line. Alexander and Powell really coming in for praise of late from Coach Walt Michaels. Powell has long been established as one of the NFL's best. Alexander working toward that designation. Both these teams without a veteran offensive lineman. Bill Lenkaitis, the veteran center, gone after 14 years for New England. Randy Rasmussen, the veteran guard, after 15 years, retiring this season for the Jets. Freeman McNeil carried on second down, and he got the first that they needed.
Once again, Kenneth Sims against the run. Good job by Marvin Powell. Gets to him quickly and really walls him off. Excellent job by Marvin Powell. That is a star. McNeil now 10 carries, 63 yards.
Could be on his way to his second straight 100-yard game.
Last week against Baltimore in heat and humidity, Kenneth Sims played every down defensively. The only defensive lineman to do that.
Lester Williams, playing alongside of him, had to leave the game when he became dehydrated. McNeil makes the catch, sidesteps one tackler, a flag goes down, and McNeil does two at the 30. Julius Adams gets credit for the tackle.
I think we're going to have Stan Waldemore pushing Julius Adams in the back. And another penalty.
The Jets, a notoriously slow starting team. They've lost 8 of their last 9 season openers, dating back the last 3 years. Prior to this one, 0-2, 0-5, 0-3 at season start.
Last year, they were, what, 10-2-1, and the hottest team in professional football over the last 13 weeks of the season.
Still waiting to sort all this out, and now Red Cashin walks it off against the Jets back to the 20-yard line.
Illegal use of the hands during the run. Number 70 of the offense, still first down.
Tough job. Big offensive lineman out there in Baltimore trying to get on Julius Adams. And Adams, of course, out there to try to stop the little swing pass, just pushed him in the back, I believe.
We played just over 4 minutes in the third quarter. The Jets own the 10-0 lead. First and 20 from their 20. Todd under pressure, sidesteps the rush, and overthrows Harper.
And he is flat lucky. There is no way he should have thrown that pass. Feet were not set. I don't believe he caught sight of Don Blackman at all. He was very lucky that ball was not intercepted. That's the kind of mistake, and you see the consternation there on Richard Todd's face. I think now he knew he shouldn't have thrown that.
Todd reduced his interceptions to 13 last year after throwing 30 interceptions. In 1980, completed 56% of his passes, and 25 of them went for touchdowns. Joe Walton got a lot of that credit.
Well, one of the things that Richard Todd, I think, must learn is that there's nothing wrong with taking a sack. You don't want to give the ball up to your opponent in that situation. He almost did there.
Second down 20, and they keep it on the ground with Augustiniak for about 6.
Augustiniak is the ball carrier.
Take a look at the Patriot defense here early in the third quarter. Sims, Williams, and Adams. As I mentioned, Adams, the only veteran in their entire defensive line crew, and there's the linebacking group.
And you know a name we haven't mentioned much today, Steve Nelson, the veteran back there. The rookies have done an excellent job. Dombrowski replacing James out with we would suppose, a slight concussion. Got his bell rung.
Some familiar names on their defensive line. Tony McGee traded to Washington. Richard Bishop waived. Sugar Bear Hamilton retired. 4-man front now for New England in the passing situation. Third down 14. Todd firing right on the money for a Jet first down. Wesley Walker makes the catch at the 46-yard line of New York. Well, earlier we were told that Richard Todd had already completed his 1,000th pass in the NFL, so give or take a couple, that was number 1,000.
Excellent protection. Watch Todd sit back there. Watch the receiver. He has a bad habit, though, I wish he'd break, and that's patting the ball before he throws it. Watch him pat the ball. Bam, right there. Then he throws it. I saw Bill Walsh spend 2 years with Ken Anderson to break him of that habit. When he pats that ball, that says, aha, he's open. And a split second later, he throws it. He should throw it the minute he sees the man open.
Wesley Walker shaken up after the reception, which was good for 21 yards. From the Jet 46, Freeman McNeil vaults across midfield before Steve Nelson grabs him. Julius Adams also there. The Jets lead it 10-0, and they have dominated this ball game, in truth, perhaps even more so than the score indicates. Walker looked like he took a pop in the lower back. And now there's a player down on the field after this last play.
A Patriots player. 22, Keith Lee.
So a timeout while they tend to lead. 9:19 to play third quarter. Still 10-0 Jets. New York ball, and we're coming right back. It's proved to be a hazardous position for the Patriots today. First, Roland James kicked in the head, out for the day. Dombrowski replaced him briefly, didn't get hurt, but then he was removed in favor of Keith Lee. Lee has now been helped to the sideline, and Fred Marion, a rookie from Miami of Florida, wearing number 31, has come into the lineup.
And Wesley Walker appears to have got a bruise on the hip.
9 minutes to play third quarter. Second down, 6. Todd out of the backfield to McNeil. Freeman McNeil has a first down, and he's into Patriot territory.
Good job by Richard Todd there, looking away from the primary receiver, scanning the offensive set, knowing where his receivers are, and that's a point that very few people talk about. You not only have to look around, you have to know what every player out there as a receiver is doing. Good time. He waits until McNeil is wide open, and then let them do it, instead of throwing it up for grabs, which I think in previous years Richard might have done.
Fred Marion had a one-play stint. He departs. Paul Dombrowski is back in, number 47 at the strong safety spot. Lamb Jones in motion. Augustiniak with the carry. Good first down yardage. Let's check the scoreboard now, Trump. L.A. Raiders 17, Atlanta Falcons 7 at Atlanta. The Raiders open with 3 on the road. They won the first one at San Fran. Dallas and St. Louis Cardinals giving them a tough time at Busch Stadium in the third, tied at 7.
Always a tough game.
Pittsburgh leads in the third over the Bengals 10-3. Cleveland's lead on the Eagles is 7-3 in the third. Eagles coming off a heartbreaker in overtime, which they lost against Washington last week. Kansas City leads the Chargers in shutting them out. It's not just the lead, it's the shutout that's most surprising in the third quarter at Arrowhead.
Yeah, to think that the San Diego offense hadn't scored any points. New Orleans over Chicago 7-0. And Stabler, the Saints' only quarterback.
What happens if he goes down?
Guido Merkins takes over.
No problem at all. The word on Keith Lee, an injury to his left ankle. How serious, we don't know. They're checking him now. 7 minutes and 15 seconds to play third quarter. The Jets have a first down at the 33-yard line of the Patriots. There's Keith Lee. Considering the offense that Ron Meyer has gone with in the first 2 Sundays of the season and the presence of the sack exchange, if they go down 17-0, they are in deep, deep trouble.
You got it.
They show him a little of this, a little of that, and it winds up a pass to Augustiniak for good yardage. Augustiniak down to the 18-yard line. It's a Jet first down.
Bob, coming into this ball game, 15 yards on the catch there by Augustiniak. There was a big question mark with Augustiniak as we watch Steve Nelson in pursuit. He's the middle linebacker with experience. Augustiniak last year, gutty kid, broke a rib twice in the season, and then really had problems, spent a lot of time in the hospital, and then suddenly in the offseason, preseason, didn't play well. A big plus for the Jets today.
It was the game here where Augustiniak broke a rib and it punctured his lung.
Yes.
And not just his football future, but his overall health was in doubt for a while. On first down, the inside handoff is to McNeil, and Freeman McNeil pick his way through across the 10-yard line and down to the 6. A 12-yard gain for McNeil. Pete Johnson has scored from a yard out, and the game is tied at 10 at Three Rivers in the third. Steelers and Bengals.
Jets have it going their way today. They are controlling the line of scrimmage. You saw the underneath handoff to Richard Todd, 84 yards. Now Freeman McNeil, the underneath handoff to McNeil, and they just blew the defensive end out. He ran right up inside. Good job.
And the way he runs with the ball, the way he kind of stutter steps and glides from side to side.
Great acceleration, and that's something that no coach can teach a player. You either have it or you don't.
First and goal from the 6. Augustiniak pulls up the middle and carries people into the end zone.
My goodness. Right over the nose, man. Lester Williams, we began the game giving an awful lot of compliments to Mr. Williams, but Joe Fields, all-pro center, back at center, after playing guard last week. Did an excellent job there. Watch the bow in the defensive line of scrimmage. Now, you can't really see it, but you can see he's almost untouched 3 yards down the field. And then at 225 pounds with Wysoon on his back, he's into the end zone. Extra point good. 17-0.
Augustiniak just carries Clayton Wysoon across. Wysoon weighs 218, so Augustiniak has him by a few pounds and says, no, I'm not stopping here. I'm taking it across. And the Jets have a 17-0 lead. The Jets had the ball for just over 7 minutes. 12 plays took them 83 yards. So their last 2 drives, just before the end of the half, 80, now 83. A 17-0 lead. Leahy's kickoff carries to the 2, where Ricky Smith takes it. And Smith is gone. Unless Leahy can tackle him, Smith is gone. 98 yards when it's over. Patriot offense couldn't do against the Jets, their special team did. 98 yards for Ricky Smith.
Bob, astoundingly, I mean, he takes one, bam, he's through. There's nobody left to tackle him. That's it. I mean, all the Jet defenders seem to be within 4 or 5 yards. And, man, did he come through there.
Now Noble Rexford Robinson for the point after with John Smith on the injured reserve list. Robinson connects. The Patriots get the touchdown back in short order. Happy day for the rookie, Ricky Smith. They're back within 10, 4:57 to play over the 98-yard touchdown run. Ricky Smith goes right back out to play the other side. He'll cover on this kick by the Pats.
No respect whatsoever. None by the New England Patriots.
17 seconds of playing time separated the Augustiniak touchdown from the Ricky Smith jaunt of 98. It may seem like a standoff, but for momentum purposes, it's a plus for New England.
Absolutely.
Harper doesn't get to the 25. Fred Marion, number 31, makes the tackle. There's Rex Robinson, who replaced John Smith. It's interesting that the 3 greatest field goal accuracy kickers in NFL history, Tony Frisch, Efren Herrera, and John Smith. Frisch and Herrera waived this year, and Smith on injured reserve. If there's a more insecure position than kicker, I don't know what it is.
Head coach.
I'd say I think the head coach is more secure than the kicker. He usually has a longer contract. Suddenly, the Foxborough crowd is alive. 4:48 remaining third quarter. Dwayne Crutchfield, with his first carry in the 3rd-round draft choice from Iowa State, is wrapped up by Steve Nelson after getting maybe 5 yards. Next Saturday, NBC Sports proudly presents the Caesars Palace Grand Prix. It's the finale of the Formula One auto racing season with the 1982 World Driving Championship at stake. 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and then we'll delay broadcast it at 4 p.m. Pacific Time for those of you on the West Coast. Next week on NBC. 2nd down 5 from the 28. Important for the Jets here to put something together to prevent the Patriots from getting it right back and increasing that momentum and that psychological edge.
Yeah, Bob, one of the problems is when you have an offense who's put 17 points on the board, you're standing on the sideline, you say, well, we got them now. But they'll never score points in our defense. You go out there to cover a kickoff, and you can't really tell until you watch the films who is at fault, but you have to admire the New England Patriots for not giving up, going out there in the special teams and trying to get it done. Paul Michaels is certainly going to be yelling and screaming at that kickoff team. There's no way that should happen. I mean, in 2 strides, he was through the entire defense and on his way to a 98-yard kickoff return.
Ron Meyer coached at Nevada, Las Vegas the last 6 years at SMU. Placing Ron Earhart as the head coach here after a 2-14 disaster for the Patriots. The Patriots have 21 players on their present roster who are either rookies or first-year players.
I don't believe he kept any of the coaches from the previous staff, did he?
No, he did not. There are 2 footballs on the field. They are measuring the position of one of them. As we pause briefly for station identification on the NBC television network.
This is WNBC TV, New York.
Bob Costas and Bob Trumpy, 3rd down, less than a yard. The ball at the 32-yard line. 3 minutes and 38 seconds to play. 3rd quarter. Jets lead the Pats 17-7. Tight formation, strong right for New York. Sneak by Todd. He's got the first down.
The Jet offensive line has done an outstanding job this entire day, beating up on that nose man, Lester Williams. You'll see Joe Fields shoulder to shoulder. Offensive guard helps Waldemore. Todd just puts his head down. That's a good escort for a first down.
The Jet backs right now are Freeman McNeil and Dwayne Crutchfield in tandem, and that might be the backfield of the future at Shea Stadium.
Crutchfield, a 3rd-round pick out of Iowa State. He is from the Cincinnati area, known very well.
What a physical specimen, and even 6 feet, 235 pounds. Todd wants to throw on first down and has lots of time to do it. But it's off the hands of the intended receiver, Johnny Lamb Jones. Would have been a difficult reception to make because he had to twist himself around.
Any ball thrown behind a receiver is almost impossible to catch. You can't stop your momentum good enough. And I think what Richard Todd is telling Lamb Jones to do is go straight down and stop. But then quarterbacks always do that to receivers. If you're here, you should have been there. If you're there, you should have been here. Quarterbacks are that way.
Kenneth Sims goes out. Ron Spears and Dennis Owens come in on a 4-man front, so that indicates that Ron Meyer right now doesn't consider Sims one of his better pass rushers. McNeil carries, and there's the loss. A loss of 3. George Crump, 91. Don Blackman, 55, make the tackle.
Bob, I think Ron Myers is just giving his defensive lineman a little bit of a rest. You see here, this is a kind of a draw, but New England is right there. 55, Blackman. Crump, who must be a tough guy to go through life with that sort of name.
George Crump.
George Crump. You got to be tough.
So you think Ron Meyer is not showing a lack of confidence in Sims as a pass rusher, just giving him a breather?
I believe so. Last week he played every defensive down.
3rd and 13 from the 30. Todd under the gun, and it's incomplete. They'll have to kick. And this is the loudest we've heard it all day at Schaefer Stadium.
Well, the fans have had very little to celebrate here so far.
Watch Larry McGrew put some pressure on here.
Comes from the outside. Total blitz. You see Blackman also. And Todd gets nailed.
Ramsey to kick. Ricky Smith, who ran a kickoff back 98 the last time he touched the ball, fields it at the 26.
Set up good.
He got outside, but they corral him at the 38. Give Ramsey credit for a 44-yard punt. A minute 46 remaining in quarter number 3. And among the reasons that Ron Meyer selected Cavanaugh as his starter over Grogan, he feels that Cavanaugh has a more effervescent personality, and some of that might rub off in terms of enthusiasm in the huddle.
Oh, yeah, Steve. Pittsburgh now up 7 points on Cincinnati and Three Rivers 17-10. I asked Steve how he felt. He said, well rested.
He's ready if they call on him, but Meyer also has said that barring an emergency, he does not want to go with the quick hook and destroy Cavanaugh's confidence. Robert Weathers makes the catch.
For no gain.
Cavanaugh now has completed 6 of 13 for 65 yards. Last week, he completed 7 of 16 and had a couple of touchdowns against the Colts. Wesley Walker has a bruised lower back and no word on whether he will return, if at all. A minute 18 remains in the 3rd quarter. The Jets lead it 17-7. Second and 10 from the 38.
Uh-oh.
You called it.
Right to him. Lance Mell.
Lance Mell picks it off. It was intended for Stanley Morgan, but Mel just stepped right in front, takes it, and what momentum New England might have had going for them is snapped.
Poor choice by Matt Cavanaugh, and I believe he knows it. There is no way that Morgan is going to be open in this situation. Plus, he appears to have pretty good time to throw. Mel, one of the most underrated linebackers there is in the game. Walt Michaels and Joe Gardy have said when you get the films back, you don't realize Mel was out there during the game, but he very seldom makes a mistake.
Now Freeman McNeil carries. And he slips through and gets very nearly 10 yards on first down.
Sims back in there at defensive end for the New England Patriots. Ran the ball right inside of it. And once again, that underneath handoff by Richard Todd.
Freeman McNeil has got to be closing in on 100 yards. Sims departs and Spears comes in to replace him. And there it is, 90 yards for McNeil on 15 carries.
Well, if they keep him healthy for 16 games, he will be the first Jet running back since John Riggins to gain 1,000 yards in my estimation. Gifted athlete, good blocker, great receiver. That burst, plus he's slippery.
Here he is. He has the first down. He juggles the ball, but it's out of bounds, and he slaps it just to make sure.
He's mad and tired.
He really wasn't going to go much further. He was about to be tackled anyway, so the fumble didn't cost him very much yardage.
Yeah, but didn't he have a problem last year of coughing up the football?
A little bit, yep.
Crutchfield, a good block up here in front of him, but you see Waldemore, you see Alexander out in front, and that thing just squirts out. It might be that his jersey is wet from the perspiration. When you hold it against your side, there's very little friction there, and the ball thing will just snap right out.
He thought he was going to turn the corner, but Sanford was right there waiting for him. They get the first down with 10 seconds to play in this third quarter. The ball is spotted at the 24 of New England.
Steve Nelson, I believe, has a little problem with his shoulder pad. One of the referees out helping him there.
McNeil now has 99 yards on 16 carries. Cincinnati has scored again in the fourth quarter at Three Rivers, and they've tied the Steelers 17-17. Bruce Harper carries. And Harper to the 16-yard line for a gain of 8 on what will be the last play of the third quarter. Clayton Weissoon made the tackle.
Bob, great block by Dwayne Crutchfield up in front of Bruce Harper. You'll watch this lead block. You'll see Crutchfield come flying through there. He parks Don Blackman. Look at that. And Bruce Harper up there for a good game.
And we'll be right back after these messages from your local station. We're talking domination here, Trump.
You got that right. And the New England Patriots have had 1 first down in the second quarter and 1 first down in the third quarter. And the game isn't as close as the score indicates.
Ricky
21-5 now.
Ricky Smith's 98-yard touchdown run with a kickoff is really the only thing that has the Patriots even approaching a respectable situation. Now here comes the reverse to Lamb Jones. Todd looking to block in front of him, but can't find anybody to collide with, which is probably just as well.
Discretion. He didn't want to take on that big defensive lineman, so he just kind of stood there. Watch Todd. He hands it off, or pitches it to Freeman McNeil, who hands it to Lamb Jones. And you'll see Richard Todd just try to stay up on your feet. Don Blackman almost makes the tackle. What was it, 8-yard gain? Good enough for a first down.
Ball is spotted at the 14-yard line. Pete Johnson scored again. He had a 1-yard run earlier. This time a 9-yard gallop. Ties it at 17 in the fourth at Pittsburgh. Lamb Jones out. Derek Gaffney in. Jerome Barkham, the tight end, lining up tight on the right. In motion, Gaffney. Give is to Crutchfield. And even though Crutchfield was hit almost immediately, he barrels his way down near the 10-yard line. There's a handful. Built relatively low to the ground at 5'11", maybe 6 feet, 235 pounds. Ooh, the Raiders pouring it on Atlanta 31-7.
The Atlanta Falcons were my pick to go to the Super Bowl in 1982. I thought their defense would measure up against anybody. Right again, Trumpy.
Not against the Raiders today. put it in the air from the 10-yard line. Oh, almost a circus catch by Lamb Jones. Ray Claiborne had the coverage, number 26.
Tell you what, it appeared to me that Jerome Barkham was wide open on the other side of the field. But you see the athletic skills of Lamb Jones. And, of course, Richard Todd trying to get it over the outstretched arms of Claiborne. That was close. So, well, what can I do?
Bruce Harper and Scott Durking are the backs right now, with 14:10 to play in the ball game. 17-7 Jets. 3rd and 6 from the 10-yard line of New England.
I'd look for Barkham.
Short drop, flip over the middle. Gaffney trying to get to the goal line. He's gotten the first down, but he can't get across. Gaffney, at just 182 pounds, proved to be a difficult man to bring down.
Last season, the New York Jets, this time after time after time with the Jerome Barkham. This year going back to somebody else. Gaffney runs a little crossing route right underneath the linebackers. Only about a 4-yard catch. Good job by Haynes to keep him out of the end zone.
Ball is spotted at the 1, and the Jets have 4 cracks to get it in from here. If they do, you have to be very skeptical about New England's ability to get back in the ballgame.
And very careful on the ensuing kickoff.
Ricky Smith has proven to be their entire offense. Freeman McNeil, touchdown Jets.
That was easy. That was entirely too easy. McNeil now 17 carries, 100 yards, and a TD.
You saw the time of possession at the end of the 3rd quarter. You saw the difference in the total yardage. An awesome advantage for the Jets, and watch the touchdown by McNeil once more. And this is the point at which announcers say, well, the New England defense has been on the field an awfully long time, and it's beginning to tell on them. But then someone at home asks themselves the question, well, the Jet offense has been on the field the same amount of time. Why does it wear on the defense and not the offense equally?
I think it's a simple answer. It takes more energy to react than to act. And you can have offensive linemen on the offside of the play who simply scramble, block, and get up and go back to the huddle. You've got defensive linemen lying 40 yards away who still have to run to try to make the tackle. That's why the defense generally tires out and the offense doesn't. Make sense to you?
I'll buy it.
You're easily convinced.
Have I ever disagreed with you, Trump, that you can recall?
Not yet this year.
It's early. Leahy's point after makes it New York 24 and New England 7. There's McNeil with better than 100 yards, and now he's tacked on a touchdown. One more look at it as we head into these messages with 13 minutes and 17 seconds to play in the ball game, and the Jets on their way to their first win of the year. Smith is waiting back near the goal line. If they can keep it away from him, the Jets have to be pretty confident about keeping New England off the scoreboard at this juncture. Booming kick by Leahy, and despite his earlier success, Smith decides that the touchback is the best decision as we check in with NFL 82 in New York.
This is Len Berman, NFL 82 in New York. It's the day of the halfback option. Marcus Allen has done it for the Raiders. Now Chuck Muncie throwing a touchdown pass, 17 yards to Wes Chandler. The Chargers close to within 16-9. Now back to Bob Costas.
All right, thank you, Lenny. Freeman McNeil, who scored the last touchdown for the Jets, has back-to-back 100-yard games in the first 2 outings of the 1982 season. The first time a Jet has done that since Clark Gaines in 1976. Tony Collins carrying on first down. 3, maybe 4. And widespread disapproval in Foxborough.
Highly suspect. Very, very conservative in their approach. 8 plays, 72 yards, 2 minutes and 43 seconds. Capped off by Freeman McNeil's 1-yard run.
Leahy has a 30-yard field goal. Todd an 8-yard scoring run. Augustiniak a 6-yard scoring run. McNeil just scored from the 1. And a 98-yard kick return for a touchdown for Ricky Smith for the Patriots, and that accounts for the scoring. 24-7. 12.5 minutes to play in the game. Next week, the Pats are home against Seattle. The Jets go on the road to Baltimore.
My goodness.
Collins again, and we don't need to tell you how the Patriot fans feel about it.
You know, I don't believe Don Hasselbeck has had a ball thrown his direction yet today. Somebody is down. Joe Klecko.
Klecko, and he's holding his knee. We'll have a report for you as soon as possible, but we're coming back right after this. About Joe Klecko and Trump, the replay will show you why. It's pretty graphic.
Yeah, it's hard to find a play that shows an injury more distinctly than this. Don Hasselbeck on the block. That's Holloway coming out. And watch his right leg right at the end of this play. Right?
It's the left leg, but...
Excuse me, yeah. You see that? My goodness gracious. That's got us smart. And there are lots of people out there on the field looking at Joe Klecko now. You can imagine their concern. Pro Bowler last year, the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year. In fact, by one, I think it was Sports Illustrated that named him the Player of the Year. 20.5 sacks, and he does it in the era of the finesse sacker without the use of the head slap. And I got news for you. I got friends that played in the NFL in my generation whose ears are still ringing from head slaps that they got 12 years ago, and I know at least one tight end who suffers from that malady too.
Is that an exaggeration, or is that for real? Do you occasionally still feel it up there like the sound in a seashell?
Well, I've lost 25% hearing in one ear, and part of it is from a head slap, and part of it is from getting hit on the jaw one time. It's true.
Here's what's coming up next week if they play football. On NFL 82, Len Berman and company will get you updated on everything that's going on a half hour before the kickoffs. And these are the early games: Miami, Green Bay, Denver and the Saints, Buffalo, Houston, and Seattle here against the Patriots. And they're bringing a stretcher out right now.
You know, Bob, I talked to Walt Michaels prior to the game, and he said, I don't like to play here. He said, it's not that I fear the New England Patriots, but this is a very hard surface, and we always seem to have a devastating injury up here. Well, this injury to Joe Klecko has got to hurt a great deal.
We mentioned it earlier, but for those who may just be joining us, the last time the Jets came in here, they came out with a victory, 17-6, and it appears that they'll come out with a win today, up 24-7 with 12-17 remaining. But they had plenty of guys banged up the last time. Todd a broken rib, Ryan a sprained ankle, Augustiniak a punctured lung after breaking a rib, Bobby Jackson a broken arm, which knocked him out for many games, in fact, for the rest of the regular season. And here Klecko appears to be seriously hurt.
Bob, if I can ask the truck to go back to the injury, it's his right leg. We thought it was his left leg, didn't we?
Well, it was his left leg that got crunched, at least it appeared to be.
Yeah, we may have seen the wrong injury, but they're looking at his right leg, as you can see.
You're right, Trump.
Well, whatever it is, that's bad news.
On the replay, it was the left leg that Hasselbeck fell across and seemingly bent backwards.
Yes.
As soon as possible, we'll get an official report on Klecko's condition. In the meantime, a look back at the scoring. After a Leahy field goal of 30 yards had given the Jets a 3-0 lead in the second quarter. Here's Todd. He tucks it in and he makes it to the corner. And after the point after, it was 10-0 New York. That's the way it stood at halftime.
Augustiniak up through the middle. Great job of blocking by the New York Jets offensive line.
And at that point, it was 17-0 as they helped Klecko off.
The world's largest cherub.
But not feeling especially effervescent right now. It's 3rd down and 8 from the 22-yard line. The scoring plays you didn't see. Ricky Smith took a kick 98 yards for a touchdown for New England. Freeman McNeil a 1-yard run for the Jets. Kavanaugh is sacked once again. The Pats will have to punt. And another look at that play on which Klecko was hurt.
All right, it's his right leg. Let's watch this closely. I think at that point right there, he snaps either his ankle or his knee, his right leg, from the pressure of Brian Holloway. I don't believe Don Hasselbeck rolling over him had anything to do with it.
You're right. Although the Hasselbeck contact was the most obvious, the damage was already done before Hasselbeck arrived. And you might say that it's fortunate that he didn't injure both legs, because the way Hasselbeck hit his left leg and the way it was bent over, that's the sort of thing which more often than not will lead to a serious injury. Camarillo to kick. Harper to field it with a fair catch at the Jet 40. There's a flag down on the play after a 47-yard punt by Camarillo, who's averaging nearly 50 yards a kick this afternoon.
One of the good rules in the NFL nowadays, Bob, is that all stadia must have X-ray equipment, personal foul, clipping against the New York Jets. They must have X-ray equipment at the stadium. They will know very, very quickly the extent of Joe Klecko's injury. And it appears they're taking him straight to the X-ray room. And of course, if they're looking for X-ray, that means broken bones.
Clipping number 29 of the receivers, 1st and 10.
Johnny Lynn clipping on the play. The ball goes back to the 25-yard line.
You can see that certainly puts a damper on the attitude of the New York Jets with Klecko hurt, leading 24-7.
So the right knee, we know that for sure. The extent of the injury, we're still awaiting word on it.
Already missing Marty Lyons from that starting lineup, out with a fractured thumb.
Crutchfield and McNeil are the running backs. Freeman McNeil adding to his total, which already has surpassed 100 yards, out to the 30-yard line, picking up 5 on first down, and the Foxborough faithful are not so faithful at this point.
This is a beautiful day in New England. This is the one that they write poems about, have movies about. They're going to find something.
Get home quickly and start the barbecue.
You're right. Find something a little more pleasurable to watch, even if it's just leaves dropping off the trees.
Inside 11 minutes remaining in the game. Jets by 17. Lamb Jones makes the catch and takes off across the 40-yard line to the 42.
Well, this is one of the first times this, as they call it, slip pass has worked to Lamb Jones with great speed. You see the take off the line, then the offensive line comes out in front of him, catches the ball. You want to try to go up underneath that first block, get to the inside, and then back out to the outside. 12 yards on the reception, first down.
Derek Gaffney now comes in. Lamb Jones out, at least briefly.
And Cincinnati now leads Pittsburgh 20-17, I believe, in the fourth quarter.
Exactly 10 minutes remaining in this one. Short drop by Todd. A bullet to the sideline, caught by Barkham, his tight end. If I'm not mistaken, that's Barkham's first reception of the game, isn't it? No, it's his second. 2 catches for Barkham. Now Dallas pulls away from the Cardinals in St. Louis, 21-7.
Wearing their blue jerseys, too, I might add.
The Cardinals always make them do that, which Dallas supposedly doesn't like to do. But those maneuvers can't make up for a big gap in talent. Cowboys up by 2 touchdowns. Good numbers for Todd. Most of it piled up here in the second half.
Well,
Neal has the first down.
Excuse me, Bob, if you're a New England Patriot fan or coach or member of management, I suppose last week's victory over the Baltimore Colts, you had mixed emotions. Obviously you won, but how good are the Baltimore Colts? Today, I'm not sure that the New England Patriots are as well and as on their way to recovery as everyone expected or thought after last week. They have been totally dominated. The Jets 349 yards, and I think it's safe to say the Patriots less than 100 total offense.
From the 47-yard line of New England, Todd will put it in the air with the 17-point lead. He's got his completion to McNeil, and McNeil dances inside the 40 to the 38.
The
total yards.
Exact numbers. 349 for the Jets, 73 for the Patriots. And that's about as dominating as you can be. You know what I like about McNeil? Watch the way he slips the tackle here. I think you're going to see 57. Oh, that's why soon. Watch the way he slips that tackle. Boy, that's a talent that you can't coach.
They get 9 on the play, leaving them with 2nd and 1. Clock running, 8.5 left. Crutchfield and McNeil in the backfield. Jones in motion. McNeil, first down. An opportunity here to remind our fans, and Trump, why don't you read it?
This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, and it is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the New England Patriots and the National Football League is prohibited.
Nicely done.
Well, thank you very much.
7 minutes and 50 seconds left. Both wide receivers are on the left side. Crutchfield and McNeil are the backs. Play fake by Todd. Lofting one deep down the right side. Nobody there except Sanford, who picks it off if he was in bounds, and he wasn't.
Don't touch him. Don't touch him.
A mild disagreement on the part of Sanford.
New York Jets 27 first downs. New England Patriots 5.
Let's watch it and judge for yourself whether Sanford was in bounds or not.
Must have both feet down. Makes the reception.
Oh, he's in.
Yeah, I believe it should have been an interception.
He might have been juggling it, and we were screened on that angle.
Hey, listen, with the Jets 27 first downs to 5, 349 to give it to him.
I don't think that's the way side judge Nate Jones felt about it. 2nd and 10 from the 34. Crutchfield bounces off one tackler and lunges to about the 30.
Oh, I want to tell you, Waldemore, Fields, Alexander, Powell, Chris Ward have done an outstanding job today in the face of a defensive line that going into this game was billed as increased strength and size. And Lester Williams and Kenneth Sims both billed as playing very well against the run. They have just eaten up this New England Patriots defensive line.
John Roman is in the ball game now, number 61, at the right tackle spot. Third down, they need 6, and they'll wind up with the sack. Blackman got in on the blitz, Trump. 3rd sack for the Pats today.
Untouched. Nobody laid a glove on him, I don't believe. Last week in his first start, he had an interception, but you'll see here coming from the right side, I don't believe he is touched. Correct. You'll see 60 of the New York Jets. Dan Alexander looking the other way.
Back deep for the Patriots is number 27, Ricky Smith.
Ricky Smith stands back at the 10-yard line. Ramsey to kick, aiming for the coffin corner in this situation. 6 minutes and 30 seconds left now with the clock running. Both Ramsey and Camarillo have had good punting days. Smith makes the fair catch at the 11. A 30-yard punt, but in this situation, although it won't help Ramsey's average, it's a good net for the Jets since the Pats wind up at their 11-yard. Cavanaugh's figures so far, Trump, 6 of 14 for 64 yards and a couple picked off.
And Stanley Morgan just 2 catches. Let me be the first to ask. Ron Meyer, when are you going to start Steve Grogan at quarterback?
Not next week is my guess.
But he'll be asked.
Hasselbeck couldn't hold it. And Myers woes mount. There was a play that developed well, and they just botched it.
When it goes bad, I mean, it really goes bad. He was wide open. Morgan cleared out on top of the coverage. Hasselbeck coming from the other side of the field. I believe that's the first time they've thrown the ball to Hasselbeck, and maybe that's why they haven't thrown it to him before.
One more look.
Took his eye off of it. Hadn't caught the ball quite yet. Was going to look upfield because he knew he was open.
Hasselbeck injured a knee late in the 1981 season, began this year 2nd on the depth chart behind Lynn Dawson. But Dawson sprained a knee last week against the Colts, and now Hasselbeck is back in there. Cavanaugh gets away, and it's intercepted. Jerry Holmes with his 2nd interception of the season, the 3rd time that Cavanaugh has been intercepted today, and the Jets have it back.
I tell you what, Cavanaugh did something very good at the beginning of this. That's his 3rd interception, as you said. He stepped up to avoid the rush.
A mass exodus here, Trump. I've never seen so many people rise in unison since they played the national anthem.
See him step up, but then there's no way the ball should be thrown. Bad choice. Watch this. Morgan standing there. Holmes, right place, right time. And here we go again.
3rd Patriot turnover. The Jets committed a couple in the first half. Todd looking to put more points on the board. Crutchfield wrapped up in a hurry. Clock running. We're down to 6 minutes to play, and the Jets are ahead by 17. And you're right, Trump. They're going to ask Meyer after the game, when do you go with Grogan? But you know that his answer at this point is going to be, No panic moves. I made a decision. This man is my quarterback for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, he said when he first came here back in January that by the third exhibition game he would make his choice. Came in with no prejudice for or against anybody. It's just the quarterback that played the best in the exhibition season, and he termed Matt Cavanaugh the best of the two, and he's the starter. It would be a big mistake to change quarterbacks presently.
Jets have made a couple of changes on the offensive line, which we'll give to you in a second. Bobby Jones was the target, number 89, and it calls incomplete. John Roman is in at right tackle for Marvin Powell. Joe Pellegrini is also in the game, first-year man from Harvard, and he replaces Dan Alexander at right guard.
Bob Todd now 16 of 26 for 153 yards.
Bruce Harper inside the 10. It was 3rd and 8, and I believe he got a little bit more than that. From the Jets' standpoint, just a couple of areas of concern. First and foremost, the injury to Joe Klecko, and we're still awaiting word on that. Here's Harper picking up 9 yards and the first and goal. Pittsburgh is now tied Cincinnati, by the way, 20-20. They're late in the 4th. And the other area of concern for the Jets, last week Tommy Vigorito burned them for a touchdown with a 59-yard punt return for the Dolphins. And the only Patriot touchdown today, a 98-yard kickoff run by Ricky Smith.
Good point.
Harper for a couple.
I can't remember, though, watching a professional football game that was so one-sided. When it came to yardage gain last week, I had Houston, Cincinnati, and it was close, but it wasn't this bad. I mean, the New York Jets are going to end up over 400 yards of total offense, and I think the New England Patriots still have less than 100. And I may be incorrect, but I'll say it. We'll check it later. I think they had 1 first down in the second quarter, 1 in the third quarter, and none in the fourth quarter yet.
Inside 4 minutes as Todd takes the snap and throws the touchdown pass to a diving Lamb Jones, but there's a flag down. It's against the Jets. Going to be holding. So Todd is deprived of the touchdown pass. He threw 3 last week. All 3 of the Jets' touchdowns today have come on the ground. Todd has one of them. Augustiniak and McNeil the other 2.
Actually, Todd threw 5 touchdowns last week, didn't he? 3 for him, 3 for them, 2 for them.
If you want to look at it that way.
Holding number 72 on the offense. Still second down.
Chris Ward, the left tackle, was holding. Second down, and the ball is pushed back to the 18. 3:56 remaining. Harper and Durking are the backs. Second and goal from the 18. Harper carries. And a gain of 5. Clock continues to run. New England has 3 timeouts remaining. Well, the Jets get to meet a couple of teams who were 2-14 a year ago in succession. A victory here today at Foxborough, then next week to Baltimore to take on Frank Cush's Colts. There's a difference between this New England club, at least there appeared to be, and the Baltimore team of last year, even though each went 2-14. It was a different kind of 2-14 for New England. On 3rd and goal, wide open is Durking. A gift.
Absolutely uncovered. You notice that spike by the New York Jets? Not allowed by Ron Myers for the New England Patriots. 13 yards. It's been easy today for the New York Jets.
Well, except for the Smith touchdown run back. The no spike rule has been academic for the Patriots today. They haven't smelled the end zone.
This is just a swing pass out of the backfield. Nothing fancy about this. They catch him in a total blitz, and I believe Sanford's the man in coverage. Durking just waltzes in there.
Leahy's point after makes it 31-7 Jets with 3 minutes and 10 seconds to play in the ballgame. The touchdown pass for Todd was his first today and his fourth of the year. What I started to say about the Pats, Trump, they went 2-14 a year ago. But they have 17 starters out of 22 who are first or second round draft choices. Also last year, they lost in overtime to Pittsburgh. One of the two losses to the Jets, the one in New York, was very close, went down to the wire. They lost that game where the ball was tipped in the end zone against Buffalo. They lost a close Monday night game against Dallas. They appeared to be a team that had much more talent than Baltimore's 2-14 aggregation. But you couldn't prove it by today's performance.
Yeah, one of the things that people have a difficult time understanding is why, with all those first-round draft choices, can't the New England Patriots win? Well, they're now 6 games into a brand new system, offensively and defensively. It takes time to adjust. And you asked earlier, what would a veteran of 30 years old, what approach would he take to Ron Meyer saying, look, you can't smoke in the locker room, mandatory weight training, no spiking and all the rest of that stuff? If the team continues to lose, there'll be questions, but it takes a while to break the losing habit.
Smith will run it out.
Why not?
And stop shy of the 25. When this one is over, we'll go to New York. The NFL report. Glenn Berman, Mike Adamley, Pete Axtell, they'll be there. 3 minutes and 1 second remaining. 31-7 Jets. Kirk Springs made the stop on Ricky Smith.
No 98-yard return on this one. That is a heck of a pop.
Kavanaugh is still the quarterback. And his pass is dropped by Tony Collins. That's the second pass he's had dropped on him in the last 2 series.
This is the point in a football game that I think the NFL should look at and introduce a gimme. 2 coaches meet at midfield. Ron Meyer says, that's good. Rest of it's good.
Trump.
I'm serious.
Trump. You're not serious, Trump. Under 3 minutes. Now this gets more serious by the moment for Kavanaugh and the Pats.
Kavanaugh now 1 of 8 for 20 yards in the second half. Mark Gastineau, the finesse pass rusher. And he really put pressure. Dwight Wheeler was the tackle that he was on, just pushed him right into Matt Kavanaugh. Again.
This is the 6th sack, and it belongs to Gastineau. Let's see if he does his act. Sort of restrained for Gastineau. On the previous play, it's Kenny Neal who gets credit for the sack. I was talking to Gastineau before the game and commented what a good actress his mother is. Have you seen that
Yes,
Razor commercial that he and his mother do? Well, she's a natural-born performer.
Natural-born mother.
I guess there's no disputing that. 2 minutes and 22 seconds remaining.
The New York Jet coaches told me that Mark Gastineau ran a 4.5540 in training camp at 265 pounds.
Camarillo out of his own end zone. Harper lets it bounce and gets back to midfield. 47-yard punt and a return of perhaps 3 by Bruce Harper. There'll be one more play before the 2-minute warning. Pat Ryan is going to come in now at quarterback. The 5th-year man from Tennessee, Richard Todd's day is done. He threw 1 touchdown pass while he was in there. Bobby Jones, Derek Gaffney, and Jerome Barkham are the receivers at this point. Dwayne Crutchfield carries for perhaps 4 yards. We reach the 2-minute warning. And as is our custom at this point in our NFL coverage, it's time for another one of those fantastic finishes. The regular feature, which we bring you at the 2-minute warning. So now here comes another one of those great NFL finishes. The word on Joe Klecko, he has dislocated his right kneecap.
My goodness.
Richard Todd, 17 of 27 while he was in there for 166 yards and a touchdown, and he also ran for a score.
Total yardage in the second half. New York Jets 213 yards. No kidding now, folks. New England Patriots 5. First downs for the game. New York Jets 29. New England 5. 3 of those in the first quarter.
Can almost read the score on the faces of Matt Cavanaugh and Ron Meyer. Dislocated kneecap, Trump. How often do you see that kind of an injury?
Yeah, very, very seldom, I would think. I don't know how you cure that. I don't know if that's surgery. There are ligaments attaching the kneecap to the leg. Whatever it is, it's not good.
Third and 4 from the 44 as we approach the 1-minute mark.
Mercifully.
Durkin gets the first down. New England showing no inclination to stop the clock, although they have all 3 of their timeouts remaining. We'll have just a couple more snaps. Look at that. The second half yardage, 223 to 5.
Point we just made. That is amazing. And I think that 5 yards was the one completion that Matt Cavanaugh had in the second half.
He had a couple dropped on him, one by Hasselbeck, one by Collins, but outside of that, they didn't even come close to generating any offense. Ron Meyer on the sideline, undoubtedly thinking about the enormous task in front of him.
And this is a very, very critical press and media area.
Crutchfield carries. The coordinating producer of football on NBC is Ted Nathanson. The telecast of today's game has been produced by George Finkel, directed by Andy Rosenberg, technical director Steve Semino, associate director Doug Grabert, associate producer Michael Hadley. We won't have another snap. The Jets will go off with a 31-7 victory. A Pyrrhic victory for them, perhaps, with the injury to Joe Klecko.
That's the only bad point. New York Jets total yardage, 394 for the game. New England Patriots, 57.
Bob Trumpy, assuming that there's no strike, we go to Houston next week, the Bills and the Oilers. You want to give some odds as to whether or not we'll be there?
None whatsoever. I don't think we will be.
You don't think we'll be in Houston?
No, excuse me. I think we will be in Houston. I think they'll call a strike after that.
After the third game?
Yes.
Well, the Jets completely dominate here and win it by a score of 31-7. Both these clubs are 1-1. The Patriots have the Seahawks next at home. The Jets have the Colts on the road. For Bob Trumpy, I'm Bob Costas, and now stay tuned for the Budweiser NFL Report here on NBC. So long from Foxborough.